All right, we should be live. Let me just go double check this. All right, we're live.
Lead the way, bro. Lead the way.
Welcome to our first ever live stream. We're here recapping NFL Week 3. I've got special guest Calvin returning for some more ball talk. How you doing, Calvin?
Man, I'm doing great. What's up, y'all? See, they thought they could get rid of me that easily, but y'all love the last little video I was on, so here I am. I'm back, giving the people what they want. But nice to be back, though, Dave. Nice to be back.
It's good to have you back. I mean, best video on the channel's with you, so I think you're locked in. But we had a few technical difficulties. Calvin had some card problems. We had some issues with the stream. Supposed to get it to you yesterday, live during the game, but here we are. We'll be going through all the games. Be if anyone wants to hop in, ask any questions for us to talk about, we'll be doing that. But you know how we got to lead it off. Saints play the Eagles. Didn't go as well as the first 2 weeks.
Well, on one side of the ball, it didn't. But I'd argue that on the other side of the ball, the defense side of the ball, it did. I mean, you stop a team twice on fourth down. You get a fumble recovery, you get a fumble recovery, you get an interception, and you block a punt. By those metrics, you're supposed to win the game. Oh, and on top of that, you only gave up 15 points. So by that metric, you're supposed to win the game. So
I don't know. I mean,
y'all can probably. I mean, it's
for me, it's tough to gauge that defensive performance because, yes, you only give up 15 points. Yes, you get those timely turnovers, but you also kind of got dominated. Saquon ran all over us. Dallas Goddard, we couldn't stop him. I mean, we just can't stop tight ends, I guess. But time of possession, it ended up being pretty balanced, 32 to 27 minutes. But that second quarter, Eagles had the ball for like 12 minutes or something, and felt like when they wanted to, they were just able to control the game. And then they would just make some boneheaded mistake. Hurts throwing a pick in the red zone. Sirianni with a stupid fourth down call twice. Like, it felt like the Eagles really were trying to beat themselves a lot. I mean, it's a tough to judge the Saints defense, but I don't like how we couldn't cover Goddard. And I don't like how badly our D line got beat up, especially when it was their backup O line in.
it's it's very disappointing. I mean, of course, being a defensive guy myself, I mean, I'm gonna take the wins when I can get the wins on defense, and I'm gonna chalk it up to a win on defense because, like I said, 15 points. Yeah, you may have gotten dominated, in terms of game flow, but on paper, you didn't. And even though you lost the game, I mean, you can argue, right? Hey, Dennis Allen takes that three. He just decided to drink the Nick Sirianni Nyquil, I guess, uh, overdosed on it and say, you know what? Why don't we go for it on fourth down? And I understand he thought, you go win the game with potentially uh, going for a touchdown because I think a touchdown probably would have ended the game at that point. Um, but the trenches has been. I mean, we can't be surprised with this. The trenches has been a point of concern on both sides of the ball for a minute now, and the tone of the game seemed like it shifted dramatically whenever Eric McCoy went down. And I feel like it broke some spirits a little bit on the team because that offensive line did not look like anything that we've seen these last 2 weeks. And I get it. It's a great D line that they're facing, but it's very, very, very frustrating when the Eagles D line decides to wake up against you. It's it's extremely frustrating. And then on the other side of the ball, Cam Jordan only played 20 snaps in this entire game. And this is a type of game that, since he's been drafted, well, maybe not his rookie year, but let's say since 2012, you will want him to be in these games. And now we're in this situation where it's a dogfight in the trenches, and we can't even have Cam Jordan out there. And Peyton Turner still looks non-existent. Isaiah Foskey can't get reps out there. Kalen Saunders, he's coming back this week, but it does amplify things a little bit more whenever you face someone like the Eagles, who, if I'm being honest, they're just a matchup nightmare, I guess you could say, because their entire team is built from the trenches up, and it's just disappointing because our team I feel like is stronger in the back end with the linebackers and the DBs, and I thought that maybe that would balance out a little bit because nightmare you don't have AJ Brown and you didn't have Devontae Smith for the most important drives of the game. So they're not going to throw the ball. What's his name? Brittany Coven. They're not going to throw the ball to him. And there's only two guys on that team that can really hurt you. Three if you want to count Jalen Hurts running the ball. But that's Saquon and Dallas Goddard. And God damn it, the fact that I thought we moved on from this. I thought we did. But Saints and tight ends, they just
Man,
can't figure it out. And the biggest boneheaded mistake that and look, there's no such thing as one play lose you the game, right? Because you can argue that there's a lot of plays that ultimately lose you the game. It's a culmination of bad plays that lose your game. That's why you lost the game. But those type of plays get amplified depending on the time. So you got a point where the Eagles are going in for obviously this is going to be their game winning drive. They're going to at least kick a field goal. No, they're not. They're trying to go here and score. That's what they want. They want a touchdown. Okay. Well, you get them in the perfect situation that you want. 3rd and 16. You stop them here, you probably win this game. Obviously, they're going for on fourth down. They're probably you would expect them to throw some short underneath, maybe get 6, 7 yards back. Try to play fourth down a little shorter than 4th and 16. Obviously, you want to keep everything in front of you. Now, look, I hate prevent defense, even as a defensive guy. I hate it. If you're locking somebody down all game, you might as well just keep doing it. I don't like giving up free. I hate it. I'm one of these guys. But 3rd and 16, what is the one thing that you don't want to be in on 3rd and 16 when they are in a situation where they need this drive? They need to score on this drive to win the game. If they don't, they lose. You don't want to be in man coverage.
press man
And
coverage
what
at that.
exactly? Press man coverage. And what in the world do you run as an offensive coordinator whenever you see man coverage? You run mesh concepts, levels concepts, maybe depending on where the safeties are, or you run pick routes. Well, what you know, they ran a little mesh concept. You got the tight end coming across one way, and then on the other side, you got another route coming in that same way, but a little bit higher. And what in the world do the two dumbass DBs do? Run straight into each other, pick themselves off essentially, leaves a free open route to really the end zone if Dallas guy was a little faster, but put him in the red zone. And at that point, you're not. We know how this is going to go. You're going to hand that ball to Saquon. This is not going to be good. So I just feel like Dennis Allen. I think he coached a decent game, but those two plays, not going for it. I mean, not taking your points in a type of game like this defensive game. You want to take every point that you can, and him not doing that. I mean, that game would have been tied up if he would took his points. I'll live with going into overtime. I can live with that. But you decided to get a little greedy, like Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni was trying to give you the game. And you didn't adjust. Clint Kubiak didn't adjust. And I get it, the offensive line was banged up, whatever, but it didn't adjust. So Clint Kubiak disappointed me there. And then Dennis Allen said, you know what, we're not gonna kick this field goal, we're gonna go for it. And you couldn't get a yard. You couldn't get a yard, but you probably should have known that considering your O line's banged up, and this is one of the best D line that you're gonna face. Probably the best D line that you're gonna face all year. Well, you still gotta face Chris Jones. So that's gonna be a problem in itself, especially with no Eric McCoy. But anyway,
Ooh, yeah.
and then you decide we're going to go man coverage, press man coverage on 3rd and 16. And on top of that, you got to realize I don't believe Demario Davis was in the game. Demario Davis was a little injured. He was hurt. So he wasn't in on that last drive. So you don't have your captain of defense, one of your captains of defense out there, and you're going to run that. I don't understand it. So mistakes get amplified in games like this when there's and this was I think I said it on last podcast, but when we talked about stealing wins, I said something to the effect of for the first couple of weeks, the best team may not win. It's just the team that executes the best. And do I believe that the Eagles are a better team? Maybe with AJ Brown? Sure. They were a playoff team. They've been a playoff team for a little minute. They won a Super Bowl in recent time, especially more recent than the Saints. So I can give it to them that they could be better than us. But when they don't have their top two guys, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, and all you gotta deal with is a tight end and a running back with all the weapons you have on defense, and you could not figure that out, that's a little disheartening. And they just executed better. Even though it may seem like they didn't because they turned the ball over so many times, but at the end of the day, they made less mistakes and executed when it really mattered. Obviously, the whole game matters, but when it really got down to we need a score here, we need a stop here, they did that.
Well, I think a
And
big part of that is the Eagles are probably the more talented team. The Saints do have a lot of guys and have a good team, but the Eagles, I mean, all the talk's been they have all the talent in the world. Now, this game a little bit less so with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown being out, but on defense, they still have a lot of guys. On offense, they still have Hurts, Saquon, and have Dallas Goedert there, who we saw what he can do, especially against a team that doesn't know how to cover tight ends. But they finally came through in a game that they should have won and won it. And I'd say should have won just based off of the situation where they were the better team throughout the game. They just kept making boneheaded mistakes, whether it was throwing a pick in the red zone, whether it was fumbling, whether it was the stupid fourth down calls, which, I mean, Sirianni's just being Sirianni there. He tries to be too
Mhm.
cute, doesn't work once again. What do you expect with him? I mean, you know what you're going to get, but the Saints just didn't look very good that game. Now, their defense did a good job of keeping them out of the end zone, at least. I'll give a lot of credit to the Saints' defense there. I didn't like how, when the Eagles got it going, especially with their run game, they kind of were able to impose their will, dominate time of possession in the second quarter. And I think that's something that, if you want to beat the Saints team, that's how you beat them if you're able to just out physical them at the line, which the Eagles were able to do. Offensively, you touched on this. This is a rough game from Kubiak. I mean, this is the first time where he comes into the game, his game plan's completely not working. All the run stuff we're trying to do didn't work. We kept trying to force these outside runs because you need that to set up the play action. But there has to be a point where you pivot and say, okay, this isn't working. Our line's banged up. We have no McCoy. Ruiz also got banged up. This is a ferocious D line that's being aggressive against the run and aggressive trying to get to the quarterback. We got to get the ball out quick. We got to get the quick hitters going. Just try and back them off for a second. And we really didn't see much of that because most of the passing game that we did was still a bit of the longer developing routes, whether it was taking deep shots to Shaheed or working stuff deep over the middle. And we were able to get some of those to Olave, but we really need to, in a game like this, you got to get the quick game going. Because if your O line can't handle it, you've got to just get the ball out. And I think the other thing with Carr, he's been great to start the season. But one of the things that we saw with him last year, that we saw a little bit with him in this game, he panics under pressure. And he's been
Oh
better
yeah.
at that to start the season, but we saw some glimpses of that, especially at the end of the game on that last drive.
You know, my dad actually called me after it happened, and he was like, you know, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, or Peyton Manning, they wouldn't have threw a pick there. And I was like, well, I'm well aware of that. I mean, we're talking the best quarterbacks in all of NFL history. And, us Saints fans, we're so spoiled, right? Have Drew Brees. Back then, in that type of situation, I know Drew Brees is going to get me at least in field goal range. I'm not concerned. And I was actually excited about this drive because this is a type of game I wanted to see from the Saints. I know it sounds weird, but blowing teams out by 30 every week is not realistic in the NFL. It's just not. And your game plan on both sides of the ball working perfectly every single time, every game, it's not realistic. I want to see us get in a dogfight. I want to see us get in a war. I want to see us face some adversity. I want to see us play a team that's supposed to be better than us and see how we react to it. I want to see how well we adjust when things aren't working. I want to see how well we can adapt in game when injuries happen because injuries do happen. And I was disappointed. And then late game, you have a chance to go and win the game. And I'm like, okay, we've been giving Derek Carr a lot of grace this year. He's been fine. He's been really the perfect game manager. Now let's see him go be a little aggressive. Let's see him win the game for us. Let's see what he can really do. And then he gets a little too excited, throws a pick. A pick that is just a pass that didn't need to be thrown. And I'm pretty sure if you look at the play, I think Chris Olave was wide open. Um, Rough game for Shaheed. I mean, he had some drops. I don't care if he was covered. Ball hit your hand, you're supposed to catch it. I'm one of them people. Had some drops. I think that play where Chauncey said he picked it off, I thought that was a catch, but it wasn't. I guess Devontae Smith, he fumbled that ball. I just want to put that out there too, real quick. Um, but we we saw problems. I'm gonna say this. I'm at least glad that this happened now because now we have a more realistic barometer for where our team is and a bar for where we may actually be. And I still think that bar is a little bit muddy right now just because of the injuries and whatever. But this is something that needed to happen. This type of game is going to be better for us. And I know people say, "Oh, you're not supposed to lose a game." I know, but rather this happen now than late in the season when the games really get amplified. Fix the problems now. I will say personally, with the O line, I would probably throw Cesar Ruiz back at center. He played it at Michigan. However, Nick Underhill tweeted out today that Caesar has not is not going to be playing center this week. So I don't quite understand that. Um,
I don't think that
I
he's cut out for it with the Saints offense because the center has to call all the protection calls and really has to be the leader of the offense. And I think he's best when all he has to do is focus on making his blocks.
I guess, but the way I look at it, right? So Brian Balding, right, is Baldy breakdowns, right? He always says we're a left-handed team because running behind Fuega and running behind Lucas Patrick has been a pretty damn good formula. And the fact you move Lucas Patrick over to center, you put Ali Udo, I think his name Ali Udo, you move him there to left guard, keep Caesar where he's at, and you just keep on trying to run to the right these outside zone concepts behind Patrick and behind Cesar Reeves, and Jalen Carter's eating that up every time. I got to give props to Jalen Carter. The guy basically, in my opinion, single handedly ruined our game plan
I mean,
because
how
he's just
unfair is it that the Eagles were able to get him?
because of the Saints, mind y'all. We wouldn't have been able to get him if we didn't give up our first round pick or whatever. Um, that was our pick. That was our pick. So, or was it the Jordan Davis when that was our pick?
It was one of those, but I
It
mean,
was one of them. But
you know
either
how
way,
it
it
goes.
still doesn't matter.
I
It
mean,
still
it
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter anyway because if the Saints had that pick, they would have picked some D tackle from a D2 school.
From Canada or something.
They
And
would have picked you.
oh, well, I'll tell you what, I'll get you pushed. I'll go ahead and do a little more than Peyton Turner and Isaiah Foskey. I guarantee you that. I'll tell you that much. But
Hey, there's a take
I
for
just
you. Should the Saints spend 2 first-round picks to go get Calvin?
oh absolutely. Yes. I'm gonna play with effort. I'll give you that at least. I'm gonna play with effort. And if anything, look, I ain't a dirty player, but if you need me to take somebody out, I'll take the fall. Okay. I'll take it. I will. I
Hey,
get it. We
I mean,
bring the
speaking
money
of
back.
that, did Trevor Penning bring Bountygate back with Darius Slay?
That and did Christian Boyd bring it back by killing Devontae Smith? Hey, Eagles fans are calling us the dirtiest team in the world. I
That
just say ball up top. That's just football right there.
Hey, that was a perfectly clean hit. The Penning one, I actually so right after that play, I had a friend who's not a Saints fan texted like joking saying Bountygate's back. And then the next play we go target the corner that comes in for Slay. So maybe there was
And,
some
so, and it was
method
just
to Trevor
absolute.
Penning.
Hey, first of all, me personally, I understand why it's a penalty, but I hate that it's a penalty. That's just football. You don't want to get thrown to the buses like blindside. Well, get off the damn block. How about that? Be stronger in your fit. Get your inside hands, get your leverage, lockout extension, get off it, disengage it. But hey, look, I get it. He's a little 195, 200 pound, 5'9", 5'10" corner versus 6'6", 6'7", 330 pounds. I get it. That's tough sledding. That's real tough sledding,
Mhm.
especially when the DB's kind of going backwards a little bit, and that train coming at you
Mhm.
quick. I understand. I get it, Slay. I get it, but I don't know. As we call, in my opinion, hey, bro, yeah, I'm throw you to the benches because you
Well,
got embarrassed. That's just football right there. That's manhandling football.
well, hey, that was a play right there that if you see AQ Shipley, whenever he'd do his offensive line play breakdowns of the Pat McAfee show, those were his favorite plays ever. Whenever lineman would get to go up against the DB out in space, he'd go highlight those plays always and just go watch the DB get blown up. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I get why it's a penalty. I mean, especially with just how much is going on the sidelines, because they've got way too many people everywhere on the sidelines. Bench is way too close. Half these stadiums will have some slick ass tarp that you'll go wipe out on. But that's a league problem. I mean, design your sidelines to be safer instead of having all this chaos that they have. But and we've seen it with all the injuries that'll happen to that. But anyway, we've talked.
Travel
We
crazy.
said before we came in, oh yeah, we'll talk about the Saints quickly because I mean it's kind of a sloppy game. There's not that much to talk about. Well, look at us talking about them for 20 minutes, so we need to move on. I do want to say with the Eagles, I'm still not impressed with them. I think on
No.
defense, I was impressed. They really showed a lot there, but they're just a team that I don't see how high their ceiling can be as long as they've got Sirianni making these stupid calls that he's making and Jalen Hurts being loose with the football. It's just a team that it would make sense if this was year one with the staff, year one with this quarterback, but they've been together a while. They got to clean this shit up.
I think this was more of an indication of the Saints offense just failing more than anything. This was actually the first game that we've seen Kubiak get out coached.
I
But
agree.
this is Vic Fangio we're talking about, and he's a legendary defense coordinator. I already told y'all in the cover six defense, Vic Fangio was really the proponent for the cover six defense in the NFL and bringing that back. So yeah, man, it's tough. He went against Mike Zimmer the game before that, absolutely washed him. Vic Fangio saw that on film and said, "Hell no, I got something for you." He even making Zach Bond look good, and I hate that. I hate that so much.
Man,
But whatever, whatever. We
Zach
can move on.
Bond. But moving on, we're going to stick in the NFC East. How about a good football game there if you like Dolphins, at least at the end? Ravens beating the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys might be dead. I mean, Dak Prescott, if you have him on your fantasy team, you're happy because he knows how to stat pad in garbage time. Shout out to their onside kick as well, but I mean, Cowboys defense is just awful at stopping the run. And Derrick Henry, an old running back who's washed, ran it 25 times for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 yards per carry.
Hey man, the Cowboys. The Cowboys. I think I said last time. Don't sound the alarms yet. I think you might want to start at least sound a bell, maybe at the very least. Maybe take the battery out the smoke detector and let it chirp for a little bit. Just have something going on that's kind of putting you on notice a little bit. We're gonna talk about another team that I think should 100% sound the alarms. But right now, yeah, I think y'all need to get on notice a little bit. They did say that the preseason polls, whatever, that the Cowboys fan base had the lowest expectations for their teams out of every fan base, and what the Saints were like 29. So hey, but drinking game again, guys. How many times we gonna bring up the Saints? Y'all gonna get drunk as hell again. Don't y'all worry, we gonna
Man, that's
get
gonna
y'all
be a
right
fun
back.
game when we're streaming this live during
Oh
Monday
yeah,
Night
y'all
Football
y'all
next
gonna
week.
get y'all
Tap
gonna
in
get
for that
fucked up.
because
I'm
we
gonna
will
bring
be
it back.
having live reactions to the games as they happen, live score updates. We're gonna be a professional show for that. We're even gonna have face cams and everything going. But Saints will be mentioned a lot. If you want to play that drinking
Hey,
game, follow along with us and tell us how it's going.
I don't think they'll be able to type. I think they'll just be face face first on the floor. But Um, yeah, Cowboys fans, y'all need to y'all need to understand something. Y'all are in this place kind of like how we felt in the year after Drew Brees retired. Now, obviously, it's much different circumstances, but you're kind of in this purgatory. You have a lot of the pieces that you had whenever y'all were successful. Now, I think the Saints, here we go, bring it up again. The Saints run from 2017 to 2020 to me is a much more superior run than the Cowboys from when they get good 2022, 2021, 2022, somewhere around there.
I
From
mean, I
then
don't
to
even
now.
know. It's hard to tell because they're good every year, then lose in the playoffs. So
So yeah, I mean, our run was much better than theirs, but y'all have a lot of pieces. Really, y'all have more of the same pieces than the Saints did, but y'all are just kind of in this purgatory. And I think, they always say this team's only going to go as far as Dak will take them. No, this team only go as far as Jerry wants to take them because really the biggest loser out of all this is Micah Parsons because you pay Dak, you pay CD, and it hasn't worked. It hasn't gotten you the results you wanted. In what world is Jerry Jones going to look at Micah Parsons and say, "Yep, I'm going to pay you top 3 defensive end or outside linebacker, whatever one he gets money"? I don't think he'll do it. Maybe he will. I'll be surprised if he does. But he's kind of the odd man out right now because he
well,
hasn't been performing all that great, and you have a lot of questions. And do you want to commit that much money to when your team has this many holes? Holes that you thought could be filled just by paying CD and paying Dak. But the Cowboys with Jerry Jones, they have not had any real improvement in places that they have been known to need help really for a while. And they just keep running back this thing. And even with Trayvon Diggs, I'll bring him up as an example. To me, I was never bought into Trayvon Diggs. To me, that was going to be one of those one-off seasons where some random ass random ass corner goes off. You know why you're getting all these picks? Because you're getting thrown at
he
all the
plays
time.
like
I
Madden.
don't want Yeah,
He
it's
play
like, man, I don't want my corner getting thrown at all the damn time. How many times do you hear Marshawn Lattimore's name? You don't, because they don't throw to him. That's
besides
the
in the
point.
injury report, but I digress.
Yeah, besides his hamstring or his quad or whatever the hell is going on. But Trayvon Diggs, he gave up 1,000 yards receiving, even when he had 1,000,005 picks. Buddy, they keep throwing you the ball for a reason. Teams in the NFL aren't going to throw you the ball if they respect how good you are. And the fact that teams always keep throwing to him, that always showed me he's not that great of a DB. And yet, you keep on running him out. You get Stephon Gilmore for a little bit. I don't think he's there anymore. If he is, my fault. It seems like he's being a non-factor. But old guy, you try to bring him in, doesn't work. Deron Bland, he's burnt toast. You draft Mozzie Smith, that doesn't work out because you need a little bit more than that. Um, and on offense, you don't even really have a wide receiver too. I mean, you got Devontae Turpin, but yeah, they try to use him, I guess, like a Rashid Shaheed, but still, like I just don't think they're utilizing him well. And I mean, your coaching staff. I mean, is Mike McCarthy the guy? Probably not. I think he's gotten a lot of unfair shake, but maybe that's just me trying to go back for the guy because I don't think coaches are the issue a lot of the times. But this Cowboys team's in an odd place. And I fear that really the only way that y'all can get better is if you don't pay Micah and you use that money to go and improve your O line a little bit more. You improve your D line a little bit. Get a linebacker here, maybe an extra DB here. And Micah's just gonna have to eat the bullet. Or he can go somewhere else.
Well, I was gonna
Or you can
say
trade
Mike
him.
is a winner from this because he's not gonna get paid by the Cowboys probably, so he's gonna get to go hit the open market and go get top money and choose where he wants to go. But look, the Cowboys, they're the Cowboys. They're a team. I mean, they're not even the Cowboys this year because they're not a good regular season team. But on defense, they've never been a good run defending team. They're just a little bit worse this year. But I was talking to a guy who's a big Cowboys fan, really follows them, and he's saying the big difference is now that they don't have Dan Quinn there, what he would do on first and second down was be as aggressive as he could be, because he knew how bad their run defense was, but how good their pass rush was. As the goal in mind was to go get them into situations where it's a third and medium, third and long, and they can just send the pass rushers. The problem this year is you're seeing Derrick Henry run all over them. You're seeing Kamara run all over them. You're seeing the offense pick up chunks on first and second down, so they're converting it by second down, and they're getting these big plays. The result of that is they don't get to unleash Micah Parsons and unleash this pass rush, and instead they're having to go stand there and try and get push and try and stop the run, which is not something they've never been good at, and it's really just getting exposed now. There are recipes out there to beat them. Just pound the rock, be patient, and just stay out of third and long, and they'll. The Saints did that for an entire game, and Cowboys could never do anything about them. I will say, I know here we are mentioning the Saints again. The one takeaway I did have for the Saints is, well, shit, maybe we're not as good as we thought because we might have just gotten a win against two bad teams the first 2 weeks of the season. Because I think the Cowboys are a straight up bad team. Their run defense is bad. Their defense as a whole can't really make plays, can't really get the job done. And offensively, they've got a lot of question marks. They've Their run game is just absolutely non-existent. If you look, Rico Dowdle's their leading rusher last game, 8 carries for 32 yards. Zeke, he's out of the offense. It's 3 for 6. They just have no run games. They have Dak throw the ball 51 times. I know a lot of that was garbage time chasing it, but having a quarterback throw it 50 times is never a recipe for success. Just go look at what Caleb did in his game, where he threw it 52 times. Yeah, he got 363 yards, but they scored 16 points. It's not a recipe for success, and there's a lot of questions there if they can't get the run game going. CeeDee Lamb, I think he's going to get better. His timing just looks off right now. He looks like a guy, like Jamar Chase had looked, who didn't participate in a lot of stuff during the offseason because he wanted his contract. Timing's going to get there, but they're running out of time. I know it's only week 3 and you can't overreact, but when you're 1-2 already and you still got some tough games coming up, you still got big division games, this is what we talk about with stealing wins and banking those wins early on. If you go like the Falcons did, they almost did against the Chiefs too, stealing a win, but stealing a win last week against the Eagles, that banks. The Vikings, it looked like stealing wins at first. They might just be a good team, but you go bank that. The 49ers losing out on these games, they're probably the best team in their division, but the Seahawks are sitting there 3-0. They've got an advantage. Early season games matter a lot because, yes, obviously you want to be in form in the end of the season, but the way it goes is win ugly early on, work out the kinks as the season goes. The Cowboys haven't been able to win ugly, and the scoreline really flattered them because they got a lucky onside kick that allowed them to make it close. This game was a blowout until the fourth quarter. Ravens tried to choke it away a little bit as Harbaugh seems to be doing, but there's a lot that the Cowboys need to deal with, and they're a worse off team than they were last year, and they're going to have to make even more tough decisions now that they're giving so much money to Dak and CeeDee.
Well, I mean, this is once again, this is a Jerry Jones thing, and I talk about this with the NBA, right? Like with the Pelicans and their idea last year of continuity and just keeping the same squad while everyone around you got better. To me, that will never really work. The only way that you can pull that card is if you won the championship the year prior in any sport. Doesn't matter which one, right? So the Chiefs, they can get away with rolling out the same team. They basically did. And yeah, they're struggling a lot more right now. And they don't look as good, but they're still pulling out wins because that's an experienced team. That's a winning DNA, championship DNA team. So the fact that you don't win a championship, you don't obtain that ultimate goal, and then you decide we're gonna run it back, but we're not really gonna add a big piece. We're gonna go add Ezekiel Elliott back and then add a washed Dalvin Cook too, because why not? That 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 doesn't make sense. So right now, you're seeing the product of that for the Cowboys, where they decide to stay stagnant, while everyone around them got a little better. They changed their coordinators, and yeah, obviously, right? They got a new DC, fine, but everyone else around them got a little bit better. You've seen the Eagles; they went and go get Saquon. You've seen the Giants. They went and go draft Malik Neighbors. I think that's getting better. The Cowboys drafted a kind of a project offensive lineman who's been looking a little rough in Tyler Guyton. He's gonna take some time. He ain't as bad as Penning was. I mean, or is. We still don't know with Penning, but still, they didn't really get better. You can argue, and by staying the same, then you can make the argument they got worse. Because what is ultimately happening if you stay at the same level, like everybody else is climbing up, then that all yeah, you're still the same team, but because everybody else around you got better, that means that you got worse because the bar has moved up and you did not get there. So for the Cowboys, if they want to turn this around, I don't know if there's a solution this season, honestly, other than the extremes, but that's extreme. You don't want to do that. But also, I'm gonna say this real quick. God damn it, players need to do the off-season training. All these damn injuries that we seeing, all these damn weak ass offenses, all these damn missed timings is because they come out here thinking I'm gonna hold out in the offseason because I want my money. I want my money. Well, guess what the hell? Look at Brandon Ayuk. He don't sat out all this time, and now look at him. He got 11 receptions for 169 yards and a plethora of drops. Why? Because he thought he could sit out and oh yeah, I'm gonna just come back and still be a great receiver. No, y'all gotta do the offseason stuff. Y'all gotta get y'all chemistry with the team, and you gotta get the time right. That stuff is important. That stuff's important. I'm glad the Saints finally decided to play their players, they starters in the preseason, because every damn time we didn't do that, we start slow in the beginning of the season. So that was my little quick rant. Back to the Cowboys. If they want to make a change, man, Jerry Jones gonna have to get up off his ass and go ahead and actually try to go get some players for real. Him going out and saying we couldn't afford Derrick Henry. That's a slap in the face to Cowboys fans. Because would Derrick Henry made you better? Probably. I'll be honest, probably. But he didn't care. He said we couldn't afford him. So I'll give you Ezekiel Elliott, who's washed, and I'll give you Dalvin Cook, who's also washed.
Yeah, as I say,
I'll
he
give you
couldn't have
those.
made you worse than Zeke Elliott, Rico Dowdle, and Dalvin Cook if he ever plays. But man, you are preaching to the choir when you talk about this preseason talk. Because week one, we're recapping the games, and I was saying we are seeing the results of players not playing in the preseason. You're seeing all these injuries, all these players who are just slow to start dealing with this. In soccer, match fitness is a very big thing that teams will focus on, and they'll say, so guys will be injured because they'll be playing year round. So say a guy's injured during the off season, they usually will have like preseason friendlies. It'll be basically like preseason games. They'll just be scrimmages that don't count against whatever teams, and guys will kind of work in and play that. If a guy hasn't played in any of those, when the season starts, usually they'll be limited, only play half of the first game, come on as a sub or something like that, because they really are adamant about match fitness. And that's something that I think the NFL needs to focus on more because you're seeing all these guys that didn't do shit during preseason, didn't do shit during training camp really either, but even if you're practicing every day during training camp, playing in a game is just so different. The game speed, the actual physicality, the fact that you're actually getting hit, you're actually hitting versus in a practice where you'd be tagging off. Maybe you'll have one practice a month in training camp at this point with how all the training has changed where you're actually tackling full contact. But it's just, we're really seeing the results of teams not giving a shit during preseason, not giving a shit during the offseason. And I think it's also going to be a really rough look for all these receivers and just players in general that want to get paid that hold out because CeeDee Lamb struggled after holding out. Jamar Chase struggled after holding out. Brandon Ayuk struggled after holding out. Teams are going to start to see it's like, hey, I mean, if you're going to hold out, well, we're going to be more strict about it because you're hurting the team a lot more than you think that you're hurting it. And I think we might see a bit of a shift in that dynamic as honestly, I mean, it's tough to say because you want to see these players get as much money as they can get. I mean, it's life changing money for them, and it's coming from billionaire owners who have plenty of money to spend. But from a fan perspective who wants to see the best product on the field, it's good for the league if some of this tapers off a bit because, like we talked about with the quarterback market, things are getting way too inflated and it's really starting to have negative consequences with quality of play going down when whether it's because a guy held out and he wasn't practicing or because a team pays a quarterback way more money than he deserves because they don't want to lose him and they have holes in the rest of their roster. I think that there is going to need to be a major shift with how roster construction, how contracts and all are dealt with if teams want to be able to get back to winning.
You know who's not struggling right now? That didn't hold out. That could have held out. Alvin Kamara. Perfect example. Alvin Kamara. He sat out for a day just to put y'all on notice. Hey, I want a new contract. And look, I'm guilty of it too. I was sitting there wondering, like, is this a transition? Could this be the smooth transition to the running back topic? I
I,
think it could.
I
I
think
think
so.
it
I think we got to hit the running back topic right here.
Okay, but I will say just real quick with the Ravens. Shout out to the Ravens for actually giving Derrick Henry the goddamn ball. See how that works? I get it, it's the Cowboys and they have a shitty run defense, but still, feed Derrick Henry and good things will happen. Just keep on pounding the rock. God damn it, use Mark Andrews. I'm tired of him putting up terrible numbers on my fantasy. Do something. That's why I never draft Mark Andrews. I don't like the dude because I can't trust him. Can't trust him.
Boy, you can't
Ain't even
trust
throwing
any
nine
tight
set
end
last
this year.
season.
I mean, it's
You can't.
crazy how bad all the tight ends are. Cole Komet is tight end 3 on the year. Cole Komet hasn't done shit all season until last game. He had like 10 catches for a decent chunk of yards. I think he got a touchdown. Let me go see because I
Yeah,
got that game pulled up. But
yeah, he
yeah,
had like
Cole Komet, he
23.8
went
fantasy points.
10 for 97 and a touchdown. That's a really good game, but he didn't do anything the first two games. And because tight ends have been so bad, that's enough to make him tight end 3 on the year. It's just
Well,
rough.
shit. The Saints just made Dallas Goddard tight end one, just like that. He went from like tight end 1,000,005 to one, just like that, one game. So, but
If you want
yeah,
to stream tight ends this year with how bad the market's been, stream whoever's playing the Saints because this has been a thing in the past. We haven't been able to cover tight ends, and I think it's just returned this week now that we played a decent tight end. So, fantasy advice: stream whatever tight end plays the Saints.
also another friend's advice. I drafted Trey McBride. I believe in Trey McBride. Trey McBride is going to be a consistent guy. He's going to lead y'all to the promise. I promise. But smooth transition, running back. Yes, Alvin Kamara sat out for a day. So I want a new contract, and I was one of those people that was like, "Hey, Alvin Kamara is pushing 30. He probably hit 30. You know what I'm saying? He getting up there and he's been a little injured these past couple seasons and he had suspension last year and he started pretty slow last year and he didn't look like he was running the same. Well shit. He came out here and said, "Y'all want to see rookie Alvin Kamara? I'm gonna show you rookie Alvin Kamara." And that's exactly what he's doing. He didn't skip out on OTAs. He didn't skip out on training camps. He didn't skip out on preseason. And look at him. He's back to form, right? And he's healthy. He looks explosive. And Matt Ray, our strength and conditioning coach for the Saints, was not lying when he said he has the fastest 10-yard burst, the fastest acceleration he's ever seen in an NFL football player. Because when he takes those first 2 to 3 steps, he is gone. Uh,
Man, it's so
him
fun to
and Terry.
watch Kamara with bursts too. Because last year it's just rough watching him when he just looked. He was a combination. That's why everyone was saying he looked old. Really, he was just injured. Just didn't have that burst. Whenever he'd do it, it looked like you're just giving some bruising running back the ball where he's gonna get you 3 yards in a cloud of dust. 'Cause that's all
God
Kamara was
damn it!
good
Look like
for.
we was handing the ball to damn Jamal Williams,
Seeing
and he
him
still
now,
ain't
it's
got no.
just fun. But go back to what you were saying.
Well, also with that, right? I feel like playing for Pete Carmichael as offensive coordinator. I think that'll do that to you too. He wasn't smiling after running the ball. 'Cause he's like, "Well, damn, I'm finna run the ball up the teeth of the defense on a 2nd and 10, and they know I'm finna do it. I'm finna get no yards here. I wouldn't be wouldn't be happy either. I wouldn't be trying to run super hard either. But yeah, so Alvin Kamara, right? A guy who people pinpointed this year pay him, and I was guilty of it. I didn't say we shouldn't pay him. I was questioning. I was like, all right, well, maybe we should see how he does this year just for safety. And I'm first line. Yeah, give him all the money he wants. God damn it. Make him the highest paid running back. I don't give a damn. Sure. Uh Derrick Henry. Everybody's like, no, Titans can't pay him, shouldn't pay him, wouldn't pay him, can't pay him, all this other woulda, coulda, shoulda. He goes to the Ravens. I thought that would be a perfect situation for them. They're going to run the rock. They that's what they want to do. They'll run some 12 personnel. I mean, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely on the field all the time. So you can pound the rock and you can run read options. I envision them just running read option all goddamn day because when you make Lamar throw, he ain't the best. And if you contain him in the pocket and you have a spy out, yeah, he can make plays, but still, like, you just stay sound in your coverage and you might be all right. That's no hate or nothing on the two-time MVP, but still, um, he ain't all that much, ain't all that great, but he gets paid something. Everybody's saying he's washed, he's washed, he's washed. And you feed him the ball. Matter of fact, he has scored a touchdown in every game so far. And yes, look, it's the goal line, whatever. But that's what you do. You give the ball to Derrick Henry on the damn goal line. That's a better percentage play than a damn tush push on the goal line. In my eyes, this is what you do. And he's 30 something years old, ran the ball 25 times, something yards, 115, 50, whatever it was, and like two touchdowns. He looked like Derrick Henry of old. And he hasn't looked bad, I would say. And then you go over to Saquon in Hard Knocks. We've seen the Giants sit there and say, "Yep, let's pay Daniel Jones $180 million." But then Saquon, no, nah, we're gonna let him uh go off in the free agency, and then he can come back and tell us what offers he got, and then we'll decide for him match or not. That was mad disrespectful, by the way, on the Giants' part, and I am absolutely. I mean, I'm not gonna apologize for it because obviously it's not my team. And I don't give a damn. But I really hate that the Giants did that, and I hate that the Giants GM even was okay with that being aired because that's just stupidity on your part, and that's mad disrespectful to players. I hate that. I hope other teams ain't running shit like that. That's awful.
Well, the
But
Panthers exist, so they are.
well, that's different. David Tepper walks around like he's a goddamn plantation owner, so he's just an idiot, right? So he goes to the Eagles, which this is a massive blunder anyway, because you let this guy not only leave your team, but you let him go to the Eagles. And then on the
A
Hard Knocks
division
thing,
rival.
yeah, division rival. And on the Hard Knocks, they were like, "Oh, well, I hope it ain't division rival that you're going to." He's like, "I'm going to the Eagles." He's like, "Oh." At that point, I would have been, "Hey, you're going to look. I will give you 5 million more than what they give you. Just come on back." Because I don't want to play you twice a year. You're gonna have some sort of hate in your heart for as long as you're in this division because we decided to let you walk, even though you really want to come back. And we really had no reason not to keep you. So he goes to the Eagles and he looks great. He scores 3 touchdowns in his first game. He's on the Saints about 140 yards. He looks great. So these are three running backs who are really down and out by people. They say, "Oh, they're getting hurt. They look slower. Their burst is gone. They're older, they're in their upper 20s and their 30s, early 30s. You don't pay these guys. And then you can even make the argument last year for Christian McCaffrey, right? Older guy too. Christian McCaffrey looked fantastic, but maybe that's because he's a Shanahan merchant. Who knows? But three guys, just gave you three guys who is just defeating that narrative. So maybe, and Jonathan Taylor don't look bad either this year. I'm gonna throw him in. He don't look bad either.
He
He
don't.
he looks more.
And look, I got the rushing stats pulled up right now. Number one running back in the league, total yards right now, Saquon. He's on a second contract. J.K. Dobbins, he's kind of doesn't count because he's still young, but he's on a second contract. Another team brought him in. Number four, Kamara. He's an old running back on his second contract. Number five, Derrick Henry, old running back. Number six, Josh Jacobs, who the Raiders let walk, and look what he's doing for the Packers. Then you got Jonathan Taylor. Number eight, everyone's favorite running back, Lamar Jackson. I digress. He's actually looked good throwing the ball this year. Number nine, David Montgomery, another guy on a second contract with another team. Then Aaron Jones, another guy let walk. Look at that. The top 10 running backs, they're pretty much all guys that are older running backs that are with another team, or I mean, you've got Kamara still with the Saints, you got Jonathan Taylor still with the Colts, but you got a lot of guys that they they're washed up running backs that the league thought, no, we can't pay. It's a great year. Just like I said, it's a bad year for receivers holding out. It is a great year for running backs, and I don't think the market's going to shift much, but teams are going to at least think heavily before they let up on their guys.
I mean, especially with quarterback play now. Like you have to. You kind of have to get a great running back now. Like
And the
back in the day,
how too high has been the dominant coverage now.
it's just so stupid because too high has been a thing forever. And out of nowhere, quarterbacks can't figure it out. It's stupid. It's
Well,
just
hey, we got to ban too high coverage according to Mel Kiper.
Mel Kiper is an idiot. That's why
Did
he
you
got
see
fired
that?
as a. That's dumb. It's dumb. Too high safeties has been a thing forever, and too high safeties ain't difficult to beat. It's too high safeties. A week in between. You get him with a post, you'll be okay. I promise. Like
Hit him with the
I
post or
don't know,
run the ball.
hit him with a post or run the ball, and it's crazy because we never sat here and said we need to ban any type of defense whenever we had the golden era of QBs. Because I'm gonna be honest, we didn't know it at the time, but we really saw the greatest time for quarterbacks ever. We had Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Eli Manning, Philip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, all playing at the same damn time.
And everyone who wasn't Brady had their legacy ruined by playing at the same time as Brady because any of those other guys would have had at least 3 rings if they played without Brady.
I'll throw Matt Ryan in there too. I didn't want to because he's a Falcons guy, but I'll throw it in. I'll give him his respect. But exactly, right? If Brady wasn't there, then I mean everybody would have got their piece. I'm pretty sure. I mean, hey, Drew Brees got his piece. That's all I care about. But
Should have gotten another
uh
piece, but
he should have got another two pieces. But we ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna talk about that. But
we
you
do. We
back then you didn't hear that. You didn't hear, oh, we're gonna ban defense. No, like they just knew how to beat it. And like even with cover six ain't a new thing, right? And that's just messing up everything. Like it's like history starts repeating itself a little bit. Now we're gonna start to see we're gonna have to run this ball because think about it. The prototypical linebacker now, you're seeing teams get these lighter or I'll say heavier defensive backs, move them down the linebacker because they're quick, they're a little heavy, they got some weight to them. They can go and play linebacker, kind of like a Derwin James, but Derwin James he's still safety. But you see what I'm saying? Get a guy like Derwin James, have him bump down to the box a little bit, have him play that little rover nickel buck, whatever you want to call it, role. Um, and your edges. The Saints, they haven't updated ever. They still got these 6'6" massive ass power rushers that ain't guarding shit on the perimeter because they can't get there. It ain't quick enough, even though they're supposed to be. They run like 4.6s, but whatever. Athletic freaks. But hey, Peyton Turner's still useless. Shout out to me throwing shade at Peyton Turner again. But anyway, um, teams they have these lighter and quicker edges, right? You see that with Nolan Smith, Micah Parsons, that type of thing. So when that happens, the defense is getting lighter and quicker. Why? Because in that golden era of QBs, that's what they had to do to try and stop it. Because they ain't really running the ball. If you have Tom Brady or Drew Brees at quarterback, you can get away with throwing the ball 50 fucking times and be okay. Now you can't. So what are teams doing? Look at the Lions. We're just gonna go ahead get these two running backs. We're just gonna pound the rock in your face all day. What do the Ravens do? We're gonna try to pound the rock in your face all day. We're gonna have our running back quarterback run too, just as much as our running back will. So it kind of works. It works because you have lighter defenses. So now you're gonna start to see the pendulum shift to where all right, now we're gonna have to start drafting these bigger, heavier guys. So it's just always gonna be swaying back and forth. It's that pendulum, like we talked about last week with the Newton's cradle. How there's always gonna be a point to where it's really high on one side and how it's really high on the other side. And then at some point they're gonna meet in the middle. And then once again, it's gonna keep on going, swinging and swinging and swinging. So you're gonna start to see the importance of running backs because back then, and I like to call it the Philip Lindsay effect. Philip Lindsay was a undrafted guy who played for the Broncos, and I think he had 1,000 yards rushing his first season as an undrafted back. And you kind of seen that a good bit where these you could get a back Backs are a dime a dozen. You can go get a back undrafted. You can get them in later rounds, like after round 5, and you'll still be fine. But it's kind of looking like you can't do that anymore. So shout out to the guys that we mentioned. They've been fighting hard for running backs to get paid more. I think they might succeed. And like you said, it ain't gonna, they're not gonna get $100 million or anything like receivers, but they could get a little more than I mean, what the highest paid right now is CMC. What's he making? Like 15, 16, 17 a year? I mean, we can see a running back get 20 mil a year. Shout out to the resurgence of the running backs. I'm waiting for the resurgence of the tight ends though. Let them come back.
Yeah, I mean, tight ends have been looking rough. But little segue, we've got shout out Preston in the chat saying, asking if it's Drake May season. I think it'll be Drake May season whenever you finally hop on one of these streams, but
Week 5, man. Week 5. Week 5 is gonna be
yeah,
Drake May season.
it is.
Mark my words.
I mean, if you don't know Preston's a Patriots fan, Drake May, that's a rough situation because Jacoby Brissett's doing nothing, but they are just in such a bad spot with their offensive line. They had some more injuries in the last game, and I can't believe we're even talking about the Patriots at all with how shit that game was. But I mean, the way that they got banged up and were already bad to begin with, it would be a terrible, terrible, terrible situation to put a rookie quarterback in. And it's kind of what you saw with Bryce Young, for example, where he really struggled because it's just a bad situation and he is screwed from the start. Now, Andy Dalton, we could say that his performance really showed that maybe it wasn't all the Panthers' fault. Maybe having a competent quarterback can do it. Because, I mean, what a game that was. With
I don't buy it.
36 to 22 victory over the Raiders, who maybe they aren't that good, even though they just beat the Ravens. But what do you think about Andy Dalton just slicing up the Raiders with the same offense that looked anemic under Bryce Young?
I really hope I said it last pod. If I did, we gotta find the clip of when I said I'm pretty sure I said it. Andy Dalton is the biggest dirty Mac in the league. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned I told one of my teammates who was asking, "Hey, do I pick up the Raiders defense?" And I said, "Hell no." He's like, "Why? They're playing the Panthers." I said, "Yeah, they're playing the Panthers, but Andy Dalton is starting for the first time on this team. That is the biggest setup for he's finna drop 30 points on this team." And lo and behold, what happened? The Raiders lose. They give up 30 to Andy goddamn Dalton, the Red Rifle or Red Rocket, whichever one. But
Red Rocket, as whatever the broadcaster said.
so Red Rocket, shout out to him.
He
Biggest
is,
dirty
he
Mac in
is
the league.
he is the Red Rifle, by the way, but they got it wrong on the broadcast.
We all know what a Red Rocket actually is. Maybe not all of us, but I ain't gonna explain what a Red Rocket actually is. Um, so the Red Rifle, shout out to him. Biggest dirty Mac in the league. He he's like he's like that dude that your girl says you ain't gotta worry about. But you do. Because he's waiting. He knows you will mess up. And when you do, he's gonna be right at the front door with some flowers saying, "Come cry on my shoulder. Come on, let's go for a drive." And next thing you know, Andy Dalton don't took your girl. You gotta watch out for Andy Dalton. That's exactly what happened here with Bryce Young. And the Panthers can sit here and lie all they want and say, "Oh, well, we're just doing this because he needs some time to develop. He'll be the starter again later in the season." That's bullshit. Because it was bullshit when you said Bryce Young is our starting quarterback. He's going to remain our starting quarterback, and then you literally bench him the next day. So you can't be trusted as an organization. You can't be. So Adon comes out here, does great, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because I would expect a 14-year veteran to outplay a second-year guy who has gone through 3 or 4 different offensive systems already, hasn't had time to settle into one specific thing, uh, and has probably one of the worst owners in the league. Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton. You get him because he is a what did Dennis Allen call him? A smooth, consistent. What do you call him? I think you
Shit.
remember what I'm talking about. He
I
called
remember
him
what you
something
talk about. I
smooth,
don't remember exactly what he called them, but you get the
something like
gist
a
of it.
smooth, consistent, calming presence,
Yeah.
something like that. That's what he is. He is going to when the seas get rough, you go ahead and hand the ship wheel to Andy Dalton. He may not be able to. He still might hit an iceberg, but he ain't gonna make the boat flip over in these rough seas. He gonna keep you straight.
I
He
mean,
probably
shout
won't
out
hit the
Andy
iceberg.
Dalton for just being able to. He's like a cockroach at this point. You just can't get rid of him. Every time you think,
Well,
all right, he's just here to be a backup, he just comes up and he performs. But
him and Sam Darnold, they gotta be drinking the same water. Gotta be.
I mean, they gotta be. I mean, Sam. But yeah, they even wear the same number, number 14. You could kind of mix them up if you didn't know who was who. But
Sam kind of got a little red hair now.
he do.
He
I was about to
kind
say
of
that.
red, right?
He might be the
Might be
Red
the same
Rifle
guy.
Jr., but I mean, I think one of the big takeaways that's kind of being underrated by all this is how impatient of an organization the Panthers are. Yes, Bryce Young was been terrible or whatever, but the fact that week 3 Canales is already replacing their quote unquote quarterback of the future, I think part of that is he knew the Raiders were beatable and he knew that he had to win because Tepper is not afraid to go fire a coach year one, even if he does not at all deserve to be fired. And we saw that right here where Canales made the change, and it's almost a bit of a career preservation thing because starting Andy Dalton, that's great that the Panthers go get the win. That's awesome. It means nothing for them. They're not a playoff team. All they're doing is putting a stopgap in there, and it doesn't do anything to set their organization forward. It might be the right decision because you might just want to move on from Bryce Young completely. But if that's the case, don't say, oh, he's going to be the starter down the line or whatever. Sure, maybe there's some trying to posture for trade value, but I don't know. I mean, the fact that Andy Dalton is starting over a fully healthy Bryce Young week 3 just shows how much of a dumpster fire this organization is, even if I don't think that Bryce Young's a good quarterback at all.
You know, Dave Canales has taken a page out of Dennis Allen's playbook, and that is, I don't give a damn what anybody is saying. I'm gonna start the red rifle. You best believe I'm gonna start the red rifle. I don't care about anything ever. I'm starting the red rifle. Red rifle threw 2 pick sixes in that Carolina game, not Carolina, in the Cardinals game. He said, "I'm gonna just keep on rolling with the red rifle." The red rifle jammed like a mud that game, but he kept it going. He took the bump stock out, whatever, 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 fixed him up, had him going again. So, do I think they trade Bryce Young? I would hope they do. I I want Bryce Young to go somewhere else where he'll have some life. And I don't know where that is. I mean, does he go to the Rams, sit behind Matt Stafford? Whenever Matt Stafford retires, he can go ahead and take that over. I guess Justin Fields will take over for the Steelers. Um, what other team will probably need a quarterback? Will the Giants move on from Daniel Jones? I don't know. They pay him that money. Don't look like it.
I mean, if they do, it'll be
Drake
in the
May,
draft because they're going to have a high draft pick. But I
yeah.
think I
So
think this is the perfect segue to talk about the Packers Titans game because Malik Willis, he's a guy that everyone wrote off. He's not a good quarterback, just wasn't cut out for the league. He just doesn't really have it. Well, he goes in, he has a solid game back to back weeks this week against the team that got rid of him. And what it really shows here is if you have a bad system, it's going to be hard for any quarterback to thrive, obviously. But a quarterback who might have just looked bad because he's in a bad system, put him in an offense with LaFleur, who knows what he's doing calling plays, in a team that has pretty decent blocking, decent run game, although the run game wasn't even really humming because the Titans have such a tough run defense. But you have some weapons, you have a good system, and you have coaches that know what they're doing. And all of a sudden, Malik Willis looks like, hey, he actually might be a good quarterback.
am I gonna buy it? Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. I liked Malik Willis coming out of college. I would have liked the Saints to take a chance on him because I just want the Saints to just finally just go get a damn mobile quarterback. Because whatever. But uh,
Well, the thing is, I'm not even saying that he's necessarily like a world beating quarterback or he's that good, but the point is, you go to a good system and you can look good. It's the same thing you see with a lot of guys. Same thing you're seeing with Sam Darnold right now. Same thing you're seeing with Baker Mayfield, where he goes to the Panthers, he looks terrible. He goes and fills in with the Rams for one start, is able to lead them on a game winning drive in a situation where he barely knew the playbook. He barely knew any of that because he just came in. But it's a good system with Sean McVay who knows what he's doing. And that's like you put a quarterback in a good situation and it'll work wonders for you.
I think that also speaks to just how bad the Titans organization really is. Um, I think we don't talk enough about their missteps. I mean, you get rid of AJ Brown, big mistake, right? You draft Traylon Burks, who on paper I guess is supposed to be almost one for one copy of AJ Brown, but has not worked out at all.
And
You
the only
draft
reason, and they remember before that they had Corey Davis there, who obviously he's not on the same level, but that's their receiver one. They get rid of him because they're like, oh, AJ Brown, he can be that guy. We don't need him. It's like they think that you can only have one good receiver at a time.
well, they also had Derrick Henry in his prime, more in his prime, I should say. So they were not really going to pass the ball too much. I kind of understand it, but then they go and draft Caleb Farley. I forget his name. I'm pretty sure it's that. He had injury history in college, and he's still dealing with him now. And he has not been good, and he has not been healthy. So that is a wash. That is an L. Um, you sign D Hop, sure. You gave him life last year. He looked decent. But then you go and do the thing that I hate that teams do, and that's you go and take multiple quarterbacks in back to back years. I hate it. I hate doing that. I think you're just ruining confidence. I think you're just showing that you don't really know what you're doing. You take Malik Willis, and then you go ahead and take Will Levis. Malik Willis looked good. Will Levis looked terrible. So I mean, this probably just speaks volumes to just really how bad the Titan system really is. And then it's just a weird question that you just have to keep asking of how do you evaluate these quarterbacks for real? Because now we're in this era. We said last podcast, offensive coordinators are probably more important than your head coach at this point, and they're probably more important than your quarterback also because they can make anything and anybody work. But how do you evaluate Will Levis? Because he looks awful. He is giving us great pictures though. Every time he throws a pick, that is some great content.
Mm-hmm.
Him with his head doing the surrender cobra on his knees, that is excellent. Him diving out head first, he's doing the Superman off the ground. That looks great. He got some great content right now. Him going head first, he's like upside down. That's also great. But how do you evaluate Bryce Young? He's in a terrible system. How do you evaluate Daniel Jones? You can argue that's a terrible system. How do you evaluate Will Levis? Terrible system. So shout out to Malik Willis, man. Malik Willis is doing what you're supposed to do, right? He's doing like what Gino did, right? You take advantage of the opportunities. Now, obviously, Malik Willis ain't going to win the starting job now, but he can posture himself to be a Baker Mayfield or a Sam Darnold, where you can go to a team that needs you or is probably going to need you at some point, and you come in and deliver, and you can earn yourself a paycheck. Sam Darnold's probably going to get paid after this, and if they continue the success with the Vikings, that leaves you to wonder what you do with JJ McCarthy. What do you do?
Ah, man, I I think that that is going to be one of the most interesting situations because there's no way that if he continues at anywhere near this pace that they can bench him next year for a player who has never taken an NFL snap. But I mean, what do you think his JJ McCarthy's trade value would be at that point? Because he's still a young asset. He's still got all the upside in the world since he's never played and you don't know what he looks like. But he's also never played and is in year two. I wonder. what team would trade for him?
Well, hear me out. I know that this particular team will probably well, they can't draft Carson back next year because they gave up their wait, do they have their first round pick this year? No, they don't. It's 2025 first round pick they sent off. Yeah. Carolina can't draft Carson back, I think, because their 2025 first round pick is also gone. Do you do a one for one swap? You send Bryce Young off to Minnesota. You let him sit behind Sam Darnold in a system that is clearly better. I mean, anything is better. You can trade him to Germany, and that would be better than what the Panthers can offer you right now. But you trade him to a better system in a more pass friendly system for sure, with much better receiving talent in Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson whenever he's healthy. You got a decent back, Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler. Don't sleep on Ty Chandler as a backup running back. He's a pretty good back. Um, and your defense is very good. I said last podcast, having a great defense can really help out a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback because they can really eliminate a lot of those mistakes that you see whenever a rookie quarterback has to throw 50 something times to win the game because their defense can't stop anything. So then you have the Panther side of it. You take a chance on a JJ McCarthy, who, I mean, you might just be he might just end up just being another Bryce Young because we still have so many question marks on JJ McCarthy about his throwing ability. How can he react to actually trying to go win games and not just being a product system like he was at Michigan? And is he just a game manager like what we've seen at Michigan? Like, can he actually go out there and be a playmaker? How well can he actually run? Like, just all these looming questions that we have, but I don't see really any other team that would do it other than the Panthers. They have clearly shown they will make dumbass decisions over and over and over again. So why not? Why not do that? You can probably get them, like I said, straight up trade. I think it works for the Vikings. Maybe it works for maybe it works for the Panthers. I don't know, but I'm with you. I don't know what his trade value would be. I don't really know what rookie quarterbacks trade values would be. Obviously, you're not getting a first for him. Maybe a fifth, a fourth, maybe a third. I don't know.
I mean, this is just such a weird situation because you've really never seen something like this where usually it's the other way around. It's you have the established vet, he gets hurt, and then the rookie goes and takes over that role. You usually don't have a rookie quarterback that you like. They got rid of Kirk Cousins because they were bringing in J.J. McCarthy in part. They were like, all right, this is our quarterback. This is our guy we're going to build around. He doesn't even get to take a single snap, and the guy that was an afterthought that everyone thought, oh, the Vikings suck because Sam Darnold's their quarterback. Well, he's got them looking good. And I think that's a whole different story where I think people were overrating JJ McCarthy and underrating Sam Darnold because even if Sam Darnold didn't look this good, a rookie quarterback starting at the beginning of the season is probably not going to be able to do that much for. He's not going to be able to do what Sam Darnold's been doing. It's because, I mean, none of the rookies. Jaden's looked the best out of all the rookie class. Even him, I mean, part of it's just that offense that they have there. I don't really love the Kingsbury offense for him just because they did it more last game, but they're not playing to Jaden's strengths. But a rookie quarterback is not going to go and ball out like crazy like that unless it's an exception. And I think the Vikings actually got better. I mean, it's easy to say that now, but I was saying that before. I think the Vikings got better with the fact, at least in the short term, that JJ McCarthy's not playing since he wouldn't have looked as good. But it's just such an interesting situation. You never see this where the rookie quarterback is the one who doesn't get to play at all, but it's because of an injury. Because usually, if it's a rookie sitting out for a year, like, all right, well, next year, maybe 2 years, he's going to be there. But Sam Darnold's young enough that they could keep him around for a while if they want to. Maybe this is a bit of a Jordan Love situation where he goes and sits on the bench for 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. But I don't think the Vikings would want to do that, have him sitting there because they don't have Aaron Rodgers, who is old and they know they're going to move on from eventually. So I'm
Well,
really interested to see how they handle it. I mean, do you just keep him as a backup and say, well, hey, at least we have a really good backup in our eyes and someone that, if anything happens, could be our quarterback of the future? or does another team that isn't able to? I mean, we might see at the end of the season the market kind of establish itself a bit more where a team, maybe it's not the Panthers, maybe it's a team that is kind of mediocre, ends up with the number 10, 11, 12, whatever pick, can't get any of the quarterbacks that they want, especially in this class with how weak it looks, but they need something. Do they come calling and say, hey, we'll give you something decent for J.J. McCarthy because we liked his college tape? But that's all you have to go off of. It's basically, for any team that's trading for him, it's basically like you're drafting a rookie since all you have is college tape to look off of.
I would say I just hope the Vikings, if I mean this is all depending on if Sam Darnold continues his success. I hope they don't give Sam Darnold the Tyrod Taylor treatment. Tyrod Taylor has been the most mistreated quarterback in all of NFL history, in my opinion, because they punctured the man's lung just as an excuse to get Justin Herbert to start because he did not look bad for the Chargers when he was starting. But they drafted Justin Herbert and was like, hey, we got to get him started. Now, I'm just being facetious about it. I know they didn't puncture his lung on purpose, but it's such an odd coincidence that happened. And then when he was with the Giants, right, he gets hurt there. And then, the backup comes in and starts. It just happens all the time to him. I hope they don't give Sam Darnold a really short leash. And it's basically saying, if you fuck up one time, we're going to put JJ in. That's unfair. That's unfair. So don't treat him like Tyrod Taylor. Treat him probably more like a Teddy. Teddy Teddy has leeway. Teddy can start for a while. He can mess up, but Teddy won't really mess up. It's kind of his game. But now that with Tyrod, I don't know. Tyrod, they just kind of mess him over a lot in the league. But
You know what? It's funny that you bring up Teddy Bridgewater because that's really probably the most comparable situation, actually. And it's with the same team, the Vikings, where Bridgewater gets hurt and he's dealing with all those injuries, so they have to go bring in another guy and Sam Bradford. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see how this situation unfolds. But if you want to look at another rookie quarterback and really see the value of being in a good situation or the consequence of being in a bad situation, we've got Caleb Williams airing it out 52 times and only putting up 16 points.
hey man, all that was forgiven for me because I started Roma Dunze. I dropped Cole Komet literally earlier in the week, and he puts up all these points. And I don't want to be reactive and just drop my tight end who I had to pick up, and it was Hunter Henry, who had a great week before that, and then shit the bed this week. And then now I gotta go and be reactive again and go probably pick up Kokomet again, who's probably gonna shit the bed next week. And I'm gonna do the cycle over and over and over again. Well, anyway, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a product. I will put him in the class of Trevor Lawrence. A guy who everybody says he's so generational. He's so generational. He's the next big thing. And he hasn't done a goddamn thing to prove it. He just got some great highlights. And look, I'm not a Caleb Williams disbeliever. I believe in Caleb Williams. I think he can be a solid quarterback in the league. If you just get him to just calm it the hell down a little bit, because throwing the ball 50 times and scoring 16 points, that's not that's not indicative of success. And you can't say he doesn't have weapons. He does. But once again, this is probably just I still think this is just a situation where it's a rookie quarterback. He's got to come in, he's got to learn. And this whole year, maybe you just give him that grace period. No one was expecting him to come out and just change the life around of any team. And I will always say the best quarterbacks are quarterbacks with no expectations. Look at Sam Darnold. He is him and Andy Dalton are the biggest proprietors of that statement. No expectations. I'm gonna come in, throw 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns casually. Now everybody gonna talk about me.
Look at
Josh
Brock Purdy,
Dobbs, he was like that.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Exactly. Brock Purdy last year, or last year and this year. Josh Dobbs for a couple of games last year. And hey, shout out to Arizona. They got their money's worth out of Josh Dobbs. They got a little section of great games from him to where everybody's like, "Oh man, he's putting up MVP numbers," and then you trade him. That's just textbook because you know this ain't sustainable. So that's textbook after textbook. Maybe the Vikings do that. They won't, but still. Um,
I think it is more
Caleb,
sustainable with Darnold just because I really like the Kevin O'Connell offense. And going back to, we'll come back to that a little bit more, but I think they're really cooking with that. But with the Bears, everyone talks about, oh, this is such a great situation. Like, this is one of the best situations a rookie quarterback's ever been in. They've got DJ Moore, they've got Keenan Allen, they drafted Rome. This is going to be such an exciting offense. Well, it might be time to pump the brakes there. The O line is terrible, especially on the interior, and you're seeing that with their run game not being existent. DeAndre Swift, he has some of the worst ball carrier vision ever, and he really got away with it being with the Lions, being with the Eagles, and those O lines opening up gaping holes because now that he's with the bad O line, I mean, he's doing absolutely nothing. Going 1.5 yards per carry last game, 13 carries for 20 yards. But I think one of the biggest issues that they have that was overlooked heading into the season is their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. He was a guy that was with the Seahawks last year, did not get retained because they have a whole new staff. And the Bears hired him to go be their OC to build with their cornerstone quarterback, Caleb Williams. I think that's a bit of an interesting move in the first place when you look at it from that lens that this is a guy that wasn't good enough. I know new staffs usually bring in their new guys unless you're the Saints, but he's a guy that wasn't good enough to stick around with his team because they wouldn't be getting a whole new staff if they were better last year. But here they are. So Seahawks fans really didn't like him that much last year. Their offense took a turn for the worst. It was definitely a step back. He comes in, he's supposed to work with Caleb, and it's not working so far. I saw a stat earlier today. The Bears are converting 9% of their second downs into first downs. The league average is about 30% for that. The next the next lowest team is 18%, which is double the success rate that the Bears are having. They're absolutely pitiful on second down especially, and it's leading to all these third downs where Caleb has to drop back and throw and go make a play while he's going to be blitzed by all these pass rushers. You're going to put him into unnecessary pressure. You're going to put your rookie quarterback in the situations that are suboptimal. And that's not what you want to do with an offense with a rookie quarterback. I saw another thing that the Bears are doing. They're running a lot of nakeds on there and letting guys go unblocked, having Caleb Williams do stuff that, yeah, these are concepts that work great if you're a established team. If you have a veteran quarterback who's going to be able to read, who's going to be able to adjust quickly, see where the pressure's coming from, know where to get the ball to. Caleb's not that guy. He is a rookie quarterback who's was in his third start ever. And you're having him throw it 52 times. You're having him absorb plenty of pressure the whole game. You're basically telling him, hey, go figure it out. Go do something. It's just not at all sustainable. And I mean, I don't know what you do if you're the Bears to get that offense going with how bad the O line is, how bad the run game is, but they just need to simplify things. The Saints, a lot of their success, I know we're mentioning the Saints again, but they simplified their offense because with Carmichael, it had become a bloated offense with all the stuff they had always added over the Drew Brees years. And yes, doing complicated stuff on offense is great if you can handle it, but there's nothing wrong with running a simple offense and just doing stuff that you know that'll work, that you know is easy when you have a rookie quarterback, when you have a guy that is still trying to learn how to play in the league.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, man. Because I was gonna say, I feel like you gotta just relax your quarterback a little bit. There's nothing wrong with getting him going with these little, 3 yard, 3 yard, 3 yard. You know what I mean? Little 3, 4 yard. Uh, hey man, 4 yards a pop on a pass, that's a first down. So get him going with these other. There's no shame in that. He don't have to come out here and throw 300 yards a game like he did at USC. You don't have to. And goodness gracious, go get another damn running back. Please find somebody. When was the last time they had a good running back in Chicago? Like, honestly, like one. I mean, they were happy when Tariq Cohen came out of retirement. Like, oh my goodness, Tariq Cohen. If you're sitting here on your knees looking at Tariq Cohen like he's gonna save this team in this run game, you're in an awful position. Hell, they can go ahead and hit up. Well, they ain't getting Zeke from the Cowboys, tell you that much. But
I mean, they don't
man,
want him
they can go
anyway.
get a backup. They can go get a backup from really most teams. Maybe they if CMC comes back, maybe you go and say, hey, 49ers, what about Jordan Mason? I don't know. Give him a try. Anything. Because, like you said, Johnny Smith, 1.5 yards per carry, that's not ever going to get done. And it's putting a lot of unnecessary stress on your QB. And I don't think Caleb is playing comfortably right now behind the O line, behind lack of run game. And the OC has to understand, like, hey, Shane Waldron has to say, look, man, I can't come out here and try to do these complex play calls. I can't do these complex play designs. I can't run these nakeds. I can't do the things I'm trying to do because I have you right now. And maybe in a couple years we can. But right now, let's keep it simple. There's nothing wrong. I think well, I don't think an RPO game would kind of benefit because there is no run option for the Bears. Um, but you just set up something quick. If you don't do nakeds, but maybe try some dashes. Try some mesh concepts. Try some spot plays. I mean, look at how the Ravens use Zay Flowers, right? Go ahead, line him out wide near the sideline, and throw spots, throw bubbles, throw little screens out there. Go ahead and do that with Roma Dunze. Go and do that with Keenan Allen whenever he comes back. Go ahead and do that with DJ Moore. So I don't. They got to figure it out over there. It's just that team right there to me is just you fix the O line, you get another running back, and you figure out what offensive scheme you really want to use, and something that's going to be simple for your quarterback. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that it still has the potential to be a really great situation for him. Situation for him. Jeez, I can't talk. Guess that's what happens when you've been talking football for an hour and a half. But the O line is a much bigger issue than people made it out to be at the beginning of this season. It's hurting their run game. It's hurting Caleb and what he can do. They just got to simplify and clean up that offense, though. Just do something to make it easier for him. You got to make it easy for your rookie quarterback. Now, don't take it to the extreme and do what Washington was doing and making it too easy the first 2 weeks, but it's at least the right idea where you don't want to have your rookie doing more than he can do early on and stunting his development. And I think that's the thing that they're doing right now, where when you're making him throw it 52 times and they only put up 16 points, so it's not like it's working. You're trying to have your rookie quarterback play hero ball. That is never a good thing to do. That is never good habits that you want to build. And I mean, Caleb Williams, he has a lot of potential. I think that the evaluators kind of overhyped him a bit as this incredible prospect. He's generational. He's got just going to come in and take the league by storm. If you ever hear any evaluators saying anything like that about a quarterback, you need to back up a second and go look at this whole body of work, his whole film and everything, and really think carefully because they'll throw that out way too easily because they want to. A lot of it is, and it sucks that it's like this, but it's all these guys wanting to generate clicks saying, wow, generational prospect, greatest prospect since this guy. He is going to go be in the MVP race or whatever. Slow your roll a bit and say, hey, Caleb can be great, but there is stuff that he needs to work on. There is, like, you got to be realistic with your expectations. And I think the Bears, I know as an NFL organization, they're not going to be throwing out all these crazy labels, but their last game, they kind of leaned into that a bit where they're like, oh yeah, let's just have Caleb play hero ball. 33 for 52, 363 yards. Sure, you can say that's a lot of yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had the 2 picks. He lost a fumble, and that's a lot of incomplete passes. Simplify the game and just get it, build every week and improve. that's what you got to do with the rookie quarterback like this. I get that they're a team that wants to be competing for the playoffs because of the defense they have, but they're beating themselves with what they're doing on offense.
I think that calls for a nice smooth transition into another generational product, or as they say, generational product in Trevor Lawrence. Like I said earlier, Caleb Williams and him, I'm putting him in the same boat. And it's like what you said, got to pump the brakes a little bit on that because what in the hell is going on in Jacksonville? What's going on in Duval? Because that shit looks horrendous. So much
Well,
so you got Mac Jones in the game. I mean, this is
I mean,
this is
Preston,
awful.
that's Preston's wish, but not the way that he wanted it. He said Mac Jones is going to come take over for this team, and he's going to go ball out. He was somewhat joking when he said that because he was being a Patriots fan. He's a guy who really sold himself on Mac Jones before the season started, and he ended up sucking. But I mean, Doug Peterson's got to be going soon. I mean, they just look terrible. Their offense is not good. They There's really not a lot to like about this team right now. And it's just this is a team that was supposed to be in the mix for the playoffs. They're supposed to take another step. They've got a bunch of young guys. They've got Trevor Lawrence becoming a bit more of a veteran guy now. They've got Travis Etienne, young running back. They've got Tank Bigsby if they want to mix him in. They've got some exciting receivers with Brian Thomas Jr. coming in. They've got Gabe Davis as their big free agent addition because, I mean, everyone knows Gabe Davis is an incredible receiver.
Gave Christian Kirk 100 mil.
Oh, yeah, Christian Kirk, another incredible receiver. He is one of the most overrated receivers in the league, and I kind of burned myself a bit with how much I was fading him at the beginning of last season in fantasy, but no, you saw what he was. He's just, he's not number one alpha guy, and Zay Jones being gone is all of a sudden Zay Jones, who's not even really playing for the Cardinals, is a huge loss for the Jaguars. It shows how their hierarchy is kind of messed up there, but Jaguars are dead. I mean, if you're a Jaguars fan, I'm sorry that you have to witness this in a season that was supposed to be exciting, supposed to be a lot of upside. I mean, at least Brian Thomas Jr. is such a good player. Yes, he didn't really get to show it much in the last game, 5 for 48. Got targeted 9 times, though. I mean, he's going to have those explosive plays that he's shown in the first couple weeks. And I mean, that's still not a terrible stat line, at least. But moving on to the Bills, I think they might be the only dominant team in the league right now. And yes, all that we said about the Jaguars right now is true that they are not a good team, but the Bills blew them out of the water. And that's something that, besides the Saints' first 2 weeks, you have not been seeing this season outside of the Bills. Good teams that are supposed to be these contenders have all been squeaking by games that they should have maybe been dominating. The league seems very close together. It's like all these teams are kind of jumbled together right now. The Bills are the only team that's really standing out to me as they're a dominant team. And I think a lot of that is because Joe Brady is cooking with that offense by making Josh Allen into, I'm not going to say a game manager because he can do more than that, but he cut out the hero ball. He made the run game the emphasis. Said, hey, we've got some, they kind of didn't actually succeed running the ball as much this game, but and Josh Allen did get into more of the passing. But the reason that why that's able to work is because they've gone through the season and said, hey, we've got a good offensive line. We've got a really good running back in James Cook. We've got the threat of Josh Allen running, which can slow down the linebackers a bit if we do any kind of fake and a read option. If there's any threat of Josh Allen running, they have to respect it. They've emphasized that run game more. That's really been successful for them, and as a result, it opens up the play action passing game. It opens up the entire offense. And this is something that you weren't seeing with Ken Dorsey, where he was like, hey, I've got Josh Allen as my quarterback. I'm going to throw the ball 50 times a game. We're going to just air it out. And that's where all the picks with Josh Allen comes. Make him a quarterback where he can make the big plays when he needs to, but he doesn't have to make a big play every time. That's where he's at his best. And you're seeing a really well executed offense. This is a lot like what the Saints were doing the first 2 weeks, where you'd have big plays from Derek Carr because he wasn't expected to make big plays every time. and it opens it up. And I love being able to see Josh Allen play like this, where he's able to play like a smart quarterback because the offense complements him instead of being centered around him.
I'll give the Bills credit because I had them as one of my question marks to begin the season because I was looking at that wide receiver room like, this shit is stinky. I ain't gonna lie, shit stink. But it's like you said, they are playing more to the, and that's the thing, right? Ken Dorsey had us all believe that this was really the strength of Josh Allen, when in reality, this is what Josh Allen can be. And maybe you can argue that this is probably the closest to that golden era of QB that we've seen, right? Because Drew Brees, Tom Brady, yes, they can make the big play literally whenever they want, but they didn't have to every time. You know what I mean? Well, outside of Drew Brees, like 79 years where he literally was the only thing they had, but they
Man, how
weren't
about that?
expected to go. They weren't
Record
expected to go
breaking
out crazy.
offense in the same year you have a record breaking defense, and then the next year the defense breaks your own record for being that shit.
Which, by the way, and I hate this so much. I hate it so much because the record-breaking defense was ran by Steve Spagnuolo, who is running a very good defense in the Chiefs right now. And it pisses me off every time I see the Chiefs defense do good because I'm like, I understand what we gave you when you were here. We had Brandon Browner running like cornerback one. I understand. I understand. But at the same time, I'm just like, man, th- that is one of the few times where it was like, man, that was really all on the players. Because you have the record. Steve Spagnuolo has the record for the worst defense in NFL history. He gets another job. He goes on to win 3 goddamn Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator. Ain't that just mind blowing to you? That's so mind blowing to me.
It is. I mean, it hurts seeing that because he is doing so well over there, and it was so bad over here. Like, I thought that he's just terrible at his job, but I mean, we just had that little talent is just that dismantled after Greg Williams was gone, and man, it's just tough. But hopefully, we don't have any of that coming back now because the injury report apparently, according to Nick Underhill, is going to be looking rough for the Saints, and Demario Davis might be one of those guys on there. But I mean, it just really shows how kind of like with quarterback, so we're saying go into a good situation. Defensive coordinator, you send him to a good situation, and he's able to utilize the pieces he has around him instead of having to just plug holes and say like, "Oh, we gotta just stop." Like, I don't know what to do. I've got no talent at any of these positions. Just run a prevent defense and pray. But man, going back to the Bills, yeah, this is what a good situation looks like. They know what they have, they know what they need to do, and they don't try and overdo it. They don't try and force things. And that's when you're able to be at your creative best as an offense. As teams last year, if you're playing the Ken Dorsey Bills, what you're going to do, you're going to go pressure him, you're going to go make things hard for the passing game, and just know that they might not even run the ball 10 times that game because they're just going to put the ball in Josh Allen's hands. Now, everything's unlocked.
Ken Dorsey had me believing James Cook wasn't going to be that great as a runner. Shame on me for not really keeping the vision. And you know what? I'm one of those people that said the Saints should hire Ken Dorsey whenever Pete. But you gotta, hey, y'all gotta understand. We had Pete Carmichael. I mean, a damn mummy would have been a better offensive coordinator than Pete Carmichael. So Ken Dorsey, I think, still would have been an upgrade. But
I mean, you
um,
can't do
I
worse.
you can't do worse than Pete Carmichael. Now that's a situation where he ain't ever going to be a Steve Spagnuolo. I think that's just purely on him personally. But uh, shout out to James Cook, man. He's the big winner in that. He is, and I didn't draft him in fantasy because of Ken Dorsey. So goddamn Ken Dorsey, you the reason why James Cook ain't on this team.
I'll say the big
Um,
winner is me getting James Cook in a trade with Preston in the DBG league.
you know what else I got burnt on? I got burnt on Rashad White. Did. For real, I did. I drafted him. Bucky Irvin is in free agency right now. So I just seen a little tweet that said their coach said Bucky Irving deserves more snaps. He's probably
Oh,
gonna take over the RB1 spot.
if
So
he is available on waivers in your league, pick him up right now.
I have
Waivers
to.
waivers cycle at 2 a.m. You better lock in and go get him on your waiver claims because he is going to take over. Rashad White, I I said it. He is not a good running back. He is good in the passing game, sure, but he is one of the most inefficient running backs in the league since he's gotten into the league. Yes, they don't really have the best run blocking offensive line. It's kind of more geared to pass blocking in that offense, but he just doesn't do anything when the ball's in his hands. You never see Rashad White carry the ball and say, hey, this is going to be a big explosive run. He just is going to go get you 3 yards and move on to the next play. And Bucky Irving deserves getting more play. He's looked good. He's a versatile back that can be used in the pass game, can be used in the run game. I'm excited to see what he can do. Although no, I'm not because he plays for the Bucks, so I
Yeah,
hope
no,
he
you're
sucks
not.
too.
Can I say something? Can I say something shameful though? I'm ashamed of myself for this. So I sold out on Alvin Kamara for most of my leagues. I did, but I try to make completely different teams for. I got I think like 6 or 7 fantasy teams right now. I try to make. I don't want to try to get the same players because there's no point in that, right? I don't want the same 6 teams. Well, one player who I really wanted last year that I didn't get was Rashad White because he was like he finished fourth in fantasy. He was averaging like 18 to 20 points a game because he was receiving the ball 5, 6, 7 times. I was like, hey, he's back. And he was rated higher than Alvin Kamara was in the little draft thing. And I'm like, hey,
Woo!
I could take because Alvin Kamara was there, but I've already drafted Alvin Kamara in about 2 or 3 of my leagues. So I said, Rashad White. Oh boy. Keep in mind, I am a 2-time champion in this league, and the league's only been up for 2 years. I have a lot of pressure on me. And this is what I do. Rashad White. So I need to get Bucky Irving in waivers tonight. And if I don't, well, here's the thing. I also have a waiver put in for Chuba Hubbard. He had a great
Mm-hmm.
game last game. Maybe I'm buying in a little too much into him. I might have to cancel that and try to get Bucky Irving. And then if I don't get Chuba, fine. But I like how this
Well,
turned
I,
to
I
fantasy.
think I think Chuba's going to be the one there as well, and that's really going into the season. He was supposed to be the one, and it was just kind of a muddy mess the first 2 weeks. It's still not a great offense, but it's at least a decent volume situation. But I think the Rashad White's the perfect transition. We've got to talk about the Bucks getting whooped by the Broncos. Top 5 quarterback Baker Mayfield. What happened?
What happened was Sean Payton got on them perk 30s again. He saw a division rival, an old division rival, and was like, yo, man, I'm finna put my foot in their ass. That's what he said. That man still see red when he see the Bucks. And you know what? I give him his credit for that. I will. So shout out to Sean Payton for doing us a solid.
Shout
Cause
out.
shout out to him. Cause hey, Sean Payton had been on the op list for a little minute now. But hey, he put a nice solid for us. He don't shut down that Baker Mayfield magical run for a little bit. I don't know who the hell their defensive coordinator is right now. Shout out to him. Um, Chris Godwin, god damn it, he just won't die. He won't die, won't he? That little bastard has been a like a top 15, top 20 wide receiver in fantasy since like 2017, 2018. He just won't die.
Well,
He
he
won't
won't
give it
die
up.
unless the Saints take out his niece.
That is true. But hey, we got to get our get back because they took out Jameis
Mm-hmm.
after a 14 touchdown, 3 interception season or 2 interception season. Took him out.
Man,
So we got to get back. That's why Devin White ain't playing now.
that is one of the biggest what ifs. I mean, if Jameis stays healthy that whole year, he could be our quarterback still right now.
Now, there's actually a Chiefs fan that I know that's watching this right now. So I'm gonna say this just for them to watch. Uh Saints will have been playing the Chiefs in that Super Bowl if Jameis ain't get hurt. And I already know I'm gonna get a text. They're gonna be ha 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 ha. I already know. Um that is a big what if. Devin White, I can't say count your days because you were a healthy scratch. That tells me everything I need to know. Um the boy's done. The boy's cooked.
He is.
But As far as the Bucks,
And it sucks. He's an LSU guy. Like you'd love to like him, but then he does that to Jameis.
everybody loves James too. Everybody loves James. I don't care what team you are. Everybody supports James. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
We love James. I hope he, like I said, I
I
hope
mean,
James makes the Hall of
besides his
Fame.
off the field issues in college, yeah, he's a good dude.
No, that shit was just funny.
Yeah.
That shit was just funny. Um, but as far as the Bucks, what can I say? They're kind of division rivals. Fuck them. They lost. I'm glad they did. Uh, I'll be honest. I'm not really gonna find myself watching too many Bucks games. Outside of if I need Rashad White to give me more than what the hell he giving me, because this damn 7 point shit a game ain't gonna cut it.
Ha,
So,
I will say, shout out Tyler Beatty for the Broncos. 5'8", 197-pound running back. Last game goes and puts up 9 carries, 70 yards, 7.8 yards per carry. He wasn't really involved in the passing game, surprisingly, but there you go, Sean Payton. He's got his next small running back. You've always got to have one of those on a Sean Payton team. So there you go, but for you Chiefs fan that's in here, we do got to talk about that Chiefs Falcons game because that. So like I was saying earlier, Chiefs should be the much better team than the Falcons, but I know Sunday night football games always end up being close, so take that with a grain of salt. But they squeaked by. They very well could have lost that game to the Falcons. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs right now? You think that they do you think that they are a top tier team in the league right now?
well, I'm only saying this because they won the championship 2 years in a row. But yes, you, in my eyes, if you win the championship, you have to be put in that category, especially if you come out 3-0 the next year, even through all the struggles that they have right now. Because I'm gonna be honest, they struggling. They struggling, and I got in an argument today actually in workouts because I'm up here in Missouri, full of Chiefs fans. I made the comment that Travis Kelsey is a damn corpse, and I also said at the end of last season, I said Jason Kelsey's going to retire, and Travis should too. He retires out on top. He gets to keep his ultimate trophy of Taylor Swift, but goddamn it, the league probably sent him an invoice say, "Hey, all that revenue we just seen from Taylor Swift, your ass better not retire. You better go one more year, go 2 more years." And I feel like that's what happened. Because right now, Travis Kelsey don't even look like his head's in the game right now. I know there's that podcast going around that's saying that this was with former players. They saying that he doesn't even watch film. He doesn't really know the playbook. He just goes out there and runs around. He goes and sits down in like the soft zones of the defense, which actually makes a lot of sense because that's where a lot of his yards are. But he's not getting targeted. When he is, it's incomplete passes or it's low percentage passes. But what Chiefs fans told me today was he doesn't need the ball because we have a lot more options. And to them, I told them that's bullshit. Because when y'all had Tyreek Hill, arguably one of the best, if not the best, receiver in the league, you had him and you was still giving Travis Kelsey 1,000 yards. So while last year was the first year he didn't get 1,000 yards, he was kind of on the back burner a little bit. Then the writing was on the wall. Then y'all extended Noah, what's his name? Noah Gray, I think it is.
Yeah.
Their backup tight end. Y'all extend him for 3 years. You don't really do that for backup tight ends. So you extend him, and Travis Kelsey looks the most out of the damn team I've ever seen. He's on the sideline just looking down. I'm sitting here like, does he even want to play ball right now? Or does he want to go on this little world tour with Taylor Swift and go have a good time? Because I just feel like, I don't know, maybe because his brother ain't in the league no more. Like, it's just, he don't look the same mentally, physically. I know he said he's had many surgeries. He even mentioned on their little podcast with him and his brother. It hurts. He is hurting. And that he probably should retire. And I don't say it to be disrespectful to dude, but I don't want players to retire all super hurt and banged up. I want them to get out of there with at least some sort of health to them. And I felt like last year would have been the best thing for him because, yeah, you went back to back. That's already crazy in itself. But going back to back to back, what are the odds of that? That's even lower. You putting yourself in further risk when he had an injury last year. You're older, you're in your 30s. Man, It just might be time. And it's starting to look like that. Now, he started slow last year. Maybe he's just starting slow again. But at this rate, he's not getting 1,000 yards. And Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy, they seem like they're going to them more as they should. But the Chiefs as a whole, at some point, right, good teams got to fall. And they're not falling yet, but you're starting to see a little bit. They are struggling. They're struggling with these wins, but they are getting the wins. And I think that's just because obviously Andy Reid is an elite goddamn coach. D Spagnola is in his bag, his coaching right now. So they have schemes that are built to win no matter what. And also you have a championship DNA team. They know what it's like to be in wars, in dogfights, and they know what it takes to win. They know what they have to do. They know what they have to sacrifice. But I do make the joke, god damn it, the Chiefs were once again, the beneficiaries of a goddamn no call or a call that shouldn't have happened. Once again. And it seems like it always happens on a game winning drive for either them or the opposing team. Every time. Man, I hate seeing it. But your thoughts, Dave. Your thoughts.
Well, first of all, you hit the nail on the head with they snuck these wins, but they're still wins. You win ugly early in the season, and you iron it out as the season goes on. This is going to become a phrase that we keep saying, but it is so true. It doesn't matter how you win early on, as long as you win. As the season progresses, that's when you want to see the play style develop. That's when you want to start rounding into a better team because it's great to go drop 47 on a team week one. It's great to go follow that up with another 40-point performance week two. But if week three you fall off, you want to be peaking at the right time. I mean, obviously, you want to play well always, but you're not going to be able to blow out teams always, like you said. So get those wins and keep developing as a team. Keep developing your play. Now, going to Kelsey, I've got a little bit of a theory here. Travis Kelsey's old. He's dealt with a lot of injuries, but he still can be a key player for them if he's healthy. I think that they're kind of just running him as a decoy right now intentionally because they know he's still going to get attention as if he's left open, he can get the ball and make a play. They got Rasheed Rice, who's able to kind of take the same exact targets that Kelsey would get in his prime. He's running all those over the middle routes, getting all those targets, and then he'll catch the ball. He leads the league in broken tackles as a wide receiver, or missed tackles forced. He's able to do a lot of what Kelsey would do, but from a receiver position. I think he's also just that good of a player, but you've got a guy that can fill that role. Let him fill that role as long as they're winning. Then when you get to the end of the season, when you get to the playoffs, then you unleash Kelsey when he's got a lot less wear and tear from being involved a lot less. Maybe I'm crazy saying this, and maybe he is just kind of getting old, kind of getting washed, but I think he's going to get unleashed a lot more as the season progresses. It's going to be kind of like playoff Lenny. Come playoff time, they're going to let him rip.
I was gonna say it's more like Gronk in his last 2 years with the Bucks. That regular season, he was. I mean, yeah, he had good games, but he wasn't really the guy. But come playoff time, he was getting the targets. And I see what you're saying now. They're kind of lulling the defenses to sleep because at some point, are you going to be guarding Travis Kelsey week 8 like you're guarding him now if he's getting 2, 3 targets a game? I don't think so. I think at some point you start, okay, well, maybe let's go to Rasheed Rice. Or maybe let's double Xavier Worthy. Things like that. And then all of a sudden he just pops out. I guess it makes sense. But then again, I also gotta look at it like as a player. Well, I mean, he's older. He has, so this maybe for him he doesn't care because it's like you said, he's gonna be healthy. He's taking a lot less hits. He gets to enjoy his health. He's still getting paid, and he knows that yeah, I can take this hit now. My streak of 1,000 yards is already over, so I don't really care about that anymore. I could just go ahead and just chill, sign my paychecks, go hang out with Taylor after the game, and shit, come playoff time, because we will make playoffs, barring some crazy ass injury, knock on wood, or just some masterclass of a just implosion. They're going to the playoffs, and then that's when you open it up for him. So I guess as a player, if he was a younger player, that probably wouldn't fly because hey, I gotta get my money. Oh, I gotta get targets. Oh, I gotta make a legacy. He has the legacy. He can retire right now and be a damn Hall of Famer. So I don't know. You might be onto something there. So I do have my theory about him really wanting to retire last year, but the league told him, nah, we need one more year of that Taylor Swift revenue. We need a full year of that Taylor Swift revenue. So come on back,
Taylor
and
Swift
we gonna
surprise
cut you
Super
in a
Bowl
little bit.
guest still has to happen too.
Exactly. See, so there's money to be made by everybody. So maybe he's doing it for the money that the NFL sliding on the table a little bit. Or it's like what you said, and they just use him as a decoy. Hey, maybe both can be true. Hey, it's possible. Um, I think this could segue to a team that has a lot of connections with the Chiefs. I mentioned them. Well, I hinted at them earlier as a team that needs to sound the goddamn alarms, and that is Cincinnati Bengals. 0-3. Matter of fact, I got a stat for you, Dave. There has been 255 teams since the Super Bowl era has started that have started 0-3. Do you know how many teams have went to the playoffs starting 0-3? Can you take a guess?
Have went to the playoffs. It's a pretty low number, but I know 0 of those have won the Super Bowl.
Well, the answer is six. I'm pretty sure it's six. And fun fact, the last time that happened was 2018 by the Deshaun Watson. Yeah, that's right. Y'all heard me. Deshaun Watson led Texans before he was outed as a nasty, nasty Diddy man. So
Before he
it
lost his
ain't,
pregame juju of being able, that was his lucky thing apparently.
yeah, getting his happy ending massages. I mean, hey, it worked for him for the time, but once we figured out, nah, man, you can't do that no more. Maybe the Browns start letting him do it on the slick though, so he can get his mojo back. I don't know,
Nah, the
but
Browns are gonna let him do it just so he can get in trouble and they can cut him. They want out.
oh yeah, and they don't want to guarantee that money. That is right, man. Start Jameis. He's a good God fearing man. Start him. He ain't no nasty Diddy man. Start Jameis.
they
But
they they're gonna put Deshaun Watson on that Diddy list just to get a way out. I mean, they already released. You saw he had that new lawsuit coming in. That's
I
definitely the
did.
yeah. He had
That's yeah. That's definitely the Diddy Rico. He was there. He was at
a.
them damn parties.
It's
He
Diddy
was
and it's
there.
the Browns getting that out there. But I mean,
Maybe David Tepper could get put on that document too. I know Carolina Panthers fans,
nah.
they really hope he's on that document.
He could stay as far away from that document as possible. David Tepper, greatest owner in the league, build him a statue at the Panthers. And that is actually a segue back to the Falcons. How shout out to Arthur Blank putting himself into the Ring of Honor there.
Man, round of applause for Arthur Blank. Home Depot man, everybody. Talk about, hey, I respect it. That's some shit Jerry Jones would do. I respect it. Why not? Throw me in the ring of honor. I own this motherfucker. Put me in. Yeah. I sign the paychecks around here. Y'all, I'll be damned if I ain't in the ring of honor. I sign everybody paychecks here. Y'all wouldn't have this stadium if it wasn't for me. So I get it. Hey, much respect to him. Much respect to him. But
But hey, I
the
mean,
Bengals,
I wish
sound the
that
alarms.
I wish that we were able to have this stream going yesterday during this game, because man, this would have been so fun to react to live. I mean, you've got Jaden Daniels having his absolute breakout game. They finally dial up a deep shot for him, which Cliff Kingsbury has been so averse to with that horizontal offense. And look what happens. Absolute dime on the money to Terry McLaurin. Huge gain. They go score a touchdown after that. The Commanders, 2-1 in what might be a bad division, might be only competing with the Eagles at this point. I think it's a very, very, very far stretch to call them a playoff team at this point, even though they're 2-1, especially with their wins being over the Giants and the Bengals, who absolutely suck. But good for them. Good for Jaden. I mean, it's just awesome seeing him succeed because he's just such a great dude. And you just see him over there whenever he has his helmet off, just with that big ass smile. He's just happy to be there, just happy to be having this success. Good for him.
Stealing wins, Dave. The goddamn stealing wins. That
Stealing
is
wins.
important. Stealing wins. But
Now, I do have a Jaden Daniels stat for you that they
ooh,
said on the Monday Night broadcast that his completion percentage was the highest completion percentage ever by a rookie quarterback, and he's doing that week 3. So, shout out to him. 91% completion percentage. Now on to the Bengals.
they're not stealing wins. They
The
are giving up stolen wins. They are getting their wins stolen. They are losing. Sound the alarms.
the
You have to.
Cincinnati Bungles are officially back. Losing week 1 to the Patriots. Losing to the Chiefs. Yes, it's the Chiefs. They should have lost that game, but they had every opportunity that they could have won it. And then losing to the Washington Commanders. Zach Taylor, you better get on Indeed.com.
Him, and take goddamn Doug Peterson with you.
Zach Taylor, Doug Peterson, and by the end of the season, when he finds a way to blow it, Nick Sirianni can go start the Fired Football Coaches Association again with John Gruden, because y'all aren't going to have a job. Sirianni might survive just because his division's so bad that it's winnable, but Zach Taylor is such a bad coach. I don't care what you want to say. Yes, their offense looked better this game. Sure, a lot of this is on their defense, which it's absolutely terrible, and I'm going to get to, but you're the head coach of the team. You've been here forever. All right? This isn't year 2. This isn't year 3. This isn't even year 4. Zach Taylor has established his foundation. He has established his team. This is their culture. This is their identity that they want to come in. And you know what their culture is? Go 0-2 every year to start the season. Don't do anything in training camp. Preseason? Nah, we're going to play nobody during it. In fact, we'll let you hold out. You can do whatever you want. And hey, shout out Jamar Chase. He actually looked good. All it took was playing a terrible defense. I mean, he's a great player. He's going to get back into form. Holding out just is going to be rough at the beginning, but this team is so ass and such an ass organization. I feel bad for all the good players, the Burrow, the Chase, all that, because you're not winning shit with this team. You almost did it somehow, making it to the Super Bowl against all odds, which they had a chance to win it too, even though they were the inferior team that game. It sucks they couldn't win it then because they're not making it back ever, at least not with Zach Taylor at the helm, who before that season, Bengals fans didn't like him. They wanted him out. They thought this was a guy who didn't do anything for the Rams, who was just hired because he worked with McVay. He comes in, took him forever to get success. They luck into a Super Bowl run. Props to them for how they balled out that year. After that, yes, they make it back to another AFC championship, but they're an uninspiring team, is what I'll say. They have all these pieces, all this potential, and they still start every season off flat, dig themselves into a hole, have to battle back through that. Meanwhile, on defense, they've continued to lose pieces, continued to just keep taking hits, and it's finally caught up to them. Losing guys like Bates, like DJ Reader, like Awuzie. Your defense is going to start to fall off when you lose all these guys. And it finally hit them where I don't think that they have the talent. They got Von Bell back after losing him for a year, but I don't think they have the talent on defense to compete. And getting diced up like this by a rookie quarterback and an offense that didn't even really have to do as much as you would have thought. They just played efficiently and they went and got the win. They need to fire Zach Taylor as soon as possible. I don't care that he got you to a Super Bowl. This team has plateaued. I don't think he's a very good coach, and it's showing itself once again. Now, not just an 0-2 start, an 0-3 start with losses to two teams that were projected, and one of them who 100% is in the Patriots to be some of the worst teams in the league.
And I already gave you the stat. 255 teams since the Super Bowl era started, right? There's only been 6 teams that have went to the playoffs, and none of them have won a Super Bowl. So w- Bengals are falling for that fallacy, right? Where it's got a guy that brought us to the Super Bowl. We gotta keep him around, right? We gotta keep the same team. We gotta keep the but they're doing like the damn Cowboys. They're not improving. They just keep bringing out the same damn team. It is the definition of insanity. If I go to Super Bowl and I lose it, I can say anything I want about me disliking the Rams, but god damn it, the Rams, they lost in the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. You know what they said? Oh, fuck this. Let's go get Matt Stafford. Let's go sell even more of our future to get this Super Bowl. Let's go get this done. And they did. They eventually got it done. They went from scoring 3 points in the Super Bowl to winning the Super Bowl. So respect to them for making the push. They could have easily sat there and said, "Okay, we can run this shit back again. We went to the Super Bowl, right? This be great. This be great. Maybe just game plan a little bit better, and we can win." No. So the Bengals are pulling the Cowboys right now, and the Bengals are in a 2017 Jaguars situation where the 2017 Jaguars went to the AFC Championship game. Yeah, they lost, so I'm gonna say that is equivalent to Bengals going to the Super Bowl. They lost. Now you would expect the Jags to build off of that. But nope, they kept losing pieces here and there, here and there, here and there, and now look where the fuck they at. Now, obviously that's a little extreme, but that's just what it reminds me of. And I'm sorry, but you got I don't know, this team ain't even worth a bowl of fucking Skyline chili right now. And that's saying a lot. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I better not hear no goddamn who they. Y'all need to change that damn shit. That damn who they. Why y'all had to have some shit close to who that? That that's stupid.
And then they try
Come
and
on
claim
now.
that that's their shit too.
That's their shit. Even the Bucks talking about that crew thing. Crew with the K. Y'all don't say that shit out in Florida. What you talking about something? Oh no, that crew is for us. No, it ain't.
Well, you
No,
got
it
to
ain't.
keep in
No,
mind
it
the
ain't.
Bucks didn't have any fans until Brady got there. I mean, they were the most irrelevant team, and they'd have some good years too, and they were still the most irrelevant team in the NFC South. Because Saints Falcons rivalry, Saints Panthers rivalry, Falcons Panthers even a little bit of a rivalry. Ain't no team in the NFC South ever until got there gave a shit about the Bucks. They're just the other team.
I'm gonna tell you a quick story about that too, real quick. So I went to East Ascension High School down there in Gonzales, Louisiana. In my eyes, right, they're 5A school, right? But in my eyes, we had the biggest rivalry in the entire state. It was the battle for Burnside. I'm talking you're never gonna see more people at a high school game in Louisiana than right there. I promise you. It was even voted the best rivalry in the entire goddamn state year in, year out. It was us versus Sanima. There are big rivals. We have an entire week dedicated. We decorate the main hall of the damn school in fucking camo. There's leaves on the ground. If you have allergies, you're gonna want to kill yourself because you're gonna be sneezing, your nose gonna run, your eyes gonna be itching because we got actual leaves and grass and moss hanging all over the damn ceiling and the floors is covered every cubic inch. Well, that's for liquid, but every square inch, whatever the hell measurements you want to use, every millimeter of that hallway is covered in grass and whatever. We got gator hunts. It's crazy. We wear camo for the game. They actually have specific jerseys at Santa Mall that's completely different color from they're black and yellow. We are blue and yellow. They have bright ass orange jerseys, and the back of the jersey says BEA. And they only wear it for us, obviously. It's the goddamn biggest rivalry in the state. Now, there's another school that's within our district too called Dusttown. Now, Dusttown may sound familiar. Eric Reed went to Dusttown. Jamar, isn't it Jamar Simpson? I think it is. He's the running back for Tennessee right now. He went there. Eddie Lacy went to Dusttown. So they've had some hitters come out of Dusttown. Uh, but Dusttown has a week for us, but we don't have a week for them. And they make their game, a whiteout game whenever EA comes. They try to hold pep rallies for us. We don't even hold pep rallies for Dusttown. So you see where this is going. That's our Buccaneers. That's our Bucks. That is how we feel as Saints fans. That's how we feel about the Bucks. We don't give a goddamn about y'all. But Y'all make this big stink about playing it. We don't care. You beat us, we don't care. Like y'all are the most irrelevant team for us. Like there is nothing that y'all can do for us. Even when y'all had Brady, we still didn't care. Because at the end of the day, Brady wanted to be a Saint, but Drew Brees just didn't retire in time. So we didn't care. We don't care. So that was just a little quick anecdotal story. I feel like we've definitely flown off the rails a little bit. Are we done talking about the Bengals? Fire
Yeah,
Zach Taylor.
I mean, I don't think there's
Fire Zach
really.
Taylor. Trade him in for a bowl of Skyline chili, and I don't know, fucking play in the damn preseason maybe, or stop holding out. Maybe do
Mm-hmm.
some stretching or some shit in training camp. I don't know.
And
Maybe
Jaden
that.
is him.
Yeah, and Jaden is him. Um, Joe Burrow. I still believe in you, man. I do. And
I
at
mean,
this
Joe Burrow
point,
balled out. Their
yeah,
defense is
man, it's
just
not his fault.
atrocious.
It's not his fault. Y'all losing Joe Mixon also seems to be a bigger fucking. Well, not really. Joe Mixon, not Joe Mixon. Zach Moss. I believed in Zach Moss after what he did with the coach last year. I think y'all need to feed him the ball a little bit more. Let's get that run game going a little
They
bit.
need to feed Chase Brown the ball a little more too. Went 7 for
Oh, hey,
62.
hey,
He looked like
hey,
he had a little
hey,
burst.
Dave. I don't have Chase Brown on my fantasy team. Let's not give him the ball not one goddamn
Hey,
time.
well
Let's
I
keep him
do
on the bench,
so.
huh?
Feed him.
Let's keep him on the bench, huh?
Nah,
Let's
nah,
go ahead
nah.
and feed Zach
I
Moss.
got Chase Brown, so we're gonna feed him. 8.9 yards per
Hey,
carry. That's a good back right there.
I may have Rashad White and not Bucky Irvin, but god damn it, I got the Bucky Irvin of the goddamn Cincinnati Bengals. Zach Moss is winning that damn job. I promise you that. He's getting that job. So I'm gonna go to hill on that one, right? I'm gonna down that hill. I believe in Zach Moss. I believe in Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, I'm gonna get on his ass too. Let me get on T. Higgins' ass real quick. You did all this hooting and hollering. I want $100 and something $1 million too. I'm tired of y'all franchise tagging me. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I don't want to be franchise tag. Y'all need to trade me right now. Trade me now because y'all don't want to give me a contract. Oh, well, what did you do this week? Because first of all, you missed the first 2 weeks because you had a soft tissue injury. Because let me guess, did you participate in training camp? No. OTAs? No. Preseason? No. Okay, so you had a soft tissue injury that held you out for the first 2 weeks. You come back, and you was a non-factor. This Andres Isovus guy is still outpacing you. Do you think that's worth $100 and something million, buddy? I'm gonna give him the same talk as Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, bud, you are so goddamn lucky that they paid you that money. And I know that he's a great player and he's gonna kick it up a notch, but he has been an absolute non-factor in a game where Debo Samuel is out. You let Jauan Jennings get 100 and something yards and 3 touchdowns? No, surely not. You're supposed to be Mr. $150 million man. And Debo Samuel goes down and you can't get open and you dropping passes? Oh no. Say it ain't so. And there's no Christian McCaffrey. So who the hell else is gonna get this ball? Well, apparently Brock Purdy said, hey, from one late round pick slash undrafted to another, hey, I'm gonna throw you this ball, Juwan, because you're the only one that's trying to get open around here. So seems to me like Brandon Ayuk owes Jauan Jennings about $120 million. I hope he bought him a nice steak dinner or something, because Jauan saved his ass.
Nice steak dinner. I
Once
hope he
again,
bought him
kid.
an actual whole ass gift. Now you see all these quarterbacks buying, they'll buy Rolexes, they'll buy golf carts, they'll buy whatever for their O lineman. I hope he bought a whole ass house for Jennings.
Matter of fact, like I said, cut him about 12 mil. Just give him a little, just because he ain't getting 12 mil right now. Go ahead. For that, when Jauan Jennings was a free agent, and we was like, man, Kubiak's coming here. Maybe we should go get that guy. Man, that what ifs? What ifs? If he could do that, yeah, I'm bought in. I'm bought in. Um,
We'll
yeah.
send him Foster
So,
Morrow for him.
I'll give him. I'll give him. Matter of fact, Jauan Jennings for Jawan Johnson. How about that? We'll trade Jawan for Jawan. We'll give you that.
As long
I
as Foster
please,
Morrow's in that trade, so we can be rid of him.
please, please, God damn it, get rid of. I hate how much Jauan Jennings. See, I'm fucking up the Jauan. I hate how much Jauan Johnson just doesn't fucking work because in my head, a guy who used to be a receiver that is now a tight end, you should probably be more of a cheat code because you're a little faster than what linebackers are. You can catch the ball like a receiver. And I understand his blocking is and mid, but you don't get open. This man has been on his team for like 3, 4, 5 years and he's done nothing. And he still has a job here, bro. There is no worse battle than the Saints and a good tight end. I mean, even when we think we got one, we paid for Kobe Fleener. That was a
I
big
was about to
L.
say him.
Big L. We get Jerry Cook. He looked okay, and then he just decided to fumble the bag, literally in the worst possible time. We would have probably won Super Bowl if he didn't fumble that ball. I'm gonna stand on that too. Um, and shit, it's been nothing since then. Absolutely nothing. And Jawan Johnson has not worked. Dalton Holker, I think, can work if his ankles just please just heal. And then Foster Moreau, I don't know why. Whatever.
I don't
He
want to
ain't
be
about
too mean to the guy because he's been through a lot, battling cancer and everything. But I mean, can't block, can't catch. What is he there for? I digress. We've been yapping for a while. I mean, we've really covered most of what there is to cover. Got to give a shout out to Malik Neighbors because, I mean, he's just the next LSU receiver. It's like they say. I saw an Instagram post drafting an LSU receiver is like drafting a Kentucky guard. I mean, it's just straight hits.
it works. It's tried and true. Just keep him away from shirtless boat pictures with his team. Keep him away from that because
And from women who shit on dudes' chests.
please, keep him away from Odell. How about that? Keep him away from Odell. Maybe hang around. Don't hang around bitch Cruz either. Keep him away from all that.
Well, as I
Lock
said,
him
the
in a
good
room,
thing is he had to stay away from Odell because Odell got banned from being around LSU for a few years because the money is thrown in the locker room.
and that's probably why Malik actually got drafted where he did. He could have been a Kayshawn Boutte. I'm not gonna see. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. I'm a bit of a Kayshawn Boutte hater. I am because I just felt like he was a bag fumbler. I felt like if he just would have put a little more effort and care and give a fuck in his career, he probably would be much better off. But hey, he do what he do. Hope for the best for the dude. I don't hate him as a person, obviously, but I don't really hate him. I'm just more frustrated,
Exactly.
and
It,
and it pisses me off because I
it's just
know what
wasted
you can do.
potential.
Wasted potential. You wasted yourself, but you know what? You want to go be a Jonte Porter? Fine, be my guest.
That being said, if he ever does want to shake back on the gambling, make some money, just go fade Preston. We've all seen it. That's that's where it's at. Just do the opposite of what Preston does, gambling, life, whatever. You'll have a pretty good success.
You can get all that money that you lost out on NFL contracts just doing that. Promise,
But
guaranteed.
we've been yapping for a while, so we need to get to this one last game because what a game this was. We kind of alluded to it earlier, but Vikings beat the shit out of the Texans, and all of a sudden, roll might be slowing down a little bit with the Texans about them being a dominant contender. But the Vikings, sitting here at 3-0, sitting here at the top of their division, at the top of their conference with Sam Darnold.
All I can do is sigh and laugh. That's all I can do because the Texans are one of those teams that I like to support on the slick because I love CJ Stroud. Um, I love Tank Dell. Nico Collins is a solid guy,
Love
and
Nico
I like Joe
Collins.
Mixon. But man, hey, it happens. This type of thing is gonna happen. for the Texans. It's like what I said with the Saints. You can't expect to blow everybody out, and you for damn sure can't expect to win every game. And you're going to lose to some teams that you shouldn't lose to. The Saints are the biggest, biggest people for that. They will lose a game. They ain't supposed to. You best believe they will. So the NFL is the NFL. The NFL is filled with NFL talent. I know that's the most obvious, duh, no shit, brainiac statement of all time. But all these players in the NFL for a reason, right? So there's a lot more parity than you think. And I like to say everybody can get beat any given Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Saturday night, whenever the hell on Peacock, on NBC, on Amazon Prime, don't matter. Anybody can get beat at any time. And this is just an example of that. And I think this is more having to do with how good the Vikings can be rather than how bad the Texans actually are. I don't think the Texans are bad. I think y'all are still in my opinion, a lock for the playoffs in the AFC, even though the AFC's tough. Um, you just got hit with a juggernaut, and this is something I said last week. I forgot what team we were talking about, but I just think this was a preparedness issue. I think it was the Eagles that I mentioned when they lost. Yeah, it was the Eagles, where you just overlooked your opponent. You just you looked at the Vikings. You said, we ain't gonna take them serious. That shit ain't real. That 2-0 shit ain't real. We gonna go up there. We gonna run through them. Well, you see what happens when you overlook. I want y'all to do an experiment. I want y'all to have someone standing probably about 3 to 5 yards in front of your face. I want you to look over them. Like, get on something a little higher than them if you ain't taller than them. And I want you to look maybe about 100 yards down the field. Look at the damn goalpost. And then I want the person that's standing 3 to 5 yards in front of you to throw you a ball. And I want you to try to catch that ball. And I guarantee you, you're probably not gonna catch that ball. If you do catch it, you're gonna bobble it and it ain't gonna look clean. Cause you ain't fucking looking at the ball. You ain't looking at them. That type of perspective, you probably don't even see them. They're standing that close to you and you looking so far off. So once again, go week by week. Don't get ahead of yourselves. And I'm not saying the Texans did that. Maybe I am. But I feel like just somewhere the preparedness just wasn't the same as what we've seen. That's usually the case. Probably a bad week of practice, bad game plan, bad scheme. That's usually the answer for when teams like this get blown out like this. But credit where credit is due, the Vikings went in and handled business. And I think that's just what it is.
I want to say, shout out to B-Flow, because he's got that defense cooking there. Most aggressive defense in the league, lead the league in the highest blitz rate, lead the league in sacks. It's getting home. But where it really paid off was in this game against the Texans. Yeah, they blitzed a lot. Yeah, they showed blitz. But where they really were getting to the quarterback was when they didn't blitz. Because what they were doing is they'd still show their blitz looks, and because of how successful it was, the Texans were overcompensating, and they would full slide to cover. And as a result, you'd be getting, when they would only rush four lots of times, the D end would end up in a one-on-one situation with a tight end, or being chipped by a tight end and a running back. And it really allowed them to get home rushing forward because Texans saw this could be another blitz play. All of a sudden, they pull back in the coverage, messes up their whole evaluation. D end, who's being abandoned on the slide, gets a free run. And it was just the Texans got out schemed that game. Shout out to B-Flow because he's done a really great job getting the Vikings to where they are. I think that is one of the reasons why they're a legitimate team. I think the other thing is, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, Kevin O'Connell is doing a great job with Sam Darnold. That Sam Darnold is being able to do exactly what O'Connell wants, and we're finally seeing what he wants the offense to look like. With Kirk, they relied on it being Kirk, and he was able to make plays and stuff. But right now, they've got Sam Darnold running the stuff that Kevin O'Connell wants to do. They've got a better running back in Aaron Jones than they've had with having Madison, having Ty Chandler, who they still have as the number two, but having a washed Dalvin Cook. They're able to get that run game going, like the Rams are able to get going. 'Cause keep in mind, O'Connell came from the Rams working with McVay. Then they're able to build off of their passing game because of the run game success. And this is really the O'Connell offense how he wants it to be. That's something that he definitely wouldn't be able to do at this point in the season with J.J. McCarthy. So shout out to Sam Darnold stepping in and really doing what they want. For the Texans, I will say this is just one of those games where nothing went right for them. They weren't getting any of the breaks. They just struggled. They played poorly. It was just a rough game for them. The one thing that I do want to take away a little bit for the Texans is maybe their offense isn't the elite offense that we thought they could be, or at least not the highest tier. Yes, it's been against two tough defenses in the Vikings and the Bears, but that's now two of their first 3 weeks where offense really looks a little bit iffy. It's been some tough matchups, but there might be a little bit that they still need to get worked out. And maybe they aren't in that top tier contender tier where there are a lot of people's Super Bowl pick, or at the very least, AFC Championship pick. Maybe they're not there yet. But at the same time, this has been a weird start to the season where, besides the Bills, I don't think any team has really pulled away from the pack. It's all so jumbled together. And that's why winning games early is even more important than ever this year because there's no. Every division pretty much just everything is so wide open. Getting the wins now while you can is going to benefit these teams so much. And I mean, I know that's obvious. Winning games is going to benefit these teams, but the league just seems wide open this year.
Well, I think with that, I think that's a good. Nope, it ain't. No, 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 no. I gotta do a shout out. Shout out Kyler Murray. Looks good, man. He looks good. Him and Maserati Marv starting to click a little bit.
Second best
I like
receiver in the draft class right there.
I like where it's going. I like where it's going. I like what they got building, and I like James Conner as a back a lot. I really do. He's always one of my fantasy football heroes. Every time I need him, he come through for your boy. So James Conner, he's good for life in my book. I put him in that Lamar Miller category. If y'all remember Lamar Miller was one of the guys I drafted every goddamn year because I knew what I was getting. I knew I was getting 10 points. That's all I need. If I need 10 points, I'm putting Lamar Miller in. So shout out to James Conner, shout out to Kyler Murray. Um,
Shout out to that Lamar Miller callback right when we're talking about the Texans.
yep. See, look, I'm on it. I'm gonna call it back now. I'm gonna get it right. Shout Aaron Foster too, another great Texans running back. Shout out.
But hey, we've been talking ball for 2.5 hours now. This is what's going to happen. This is why we need the Monday night game because at this point the game would have ended, so we'd have had an excuse to call it early. But give us the chance. We could be talking about this for another 2 hours, so we got to get out of here. But week three down, a lot more questions than answers. I think we definitely are gonna need to start making judgments about what teams are for real, what teams are fugazi. I think the Vikings are showing they might just be for real. But you got any other closing thoughts you want to say before we get out of here?
Go to training camp, stretch, play in preseason. Fuck Chauncey Gardner Johnson. I used to. Can you believe I actually wanted to get that man's jersey at one point? Because I loved him when he was here.
I
But
love them too.
that man he's been a lame motherfucker since he left. Since the second he left, and I can't rock all that talking that he's doing, calling us pretenders. I'm glad Michael Parsons on his podcast said, "Hold, slow your roll. They not pretenders because they beat the hell out of us, and we know we can beat y'all." So shout out to Micah. Maybe you could come get here. Maybe we pay you something if Jerry Jones don't want to. Cam Jordan retires, get you. I mean, cool with it. But yeah. Uh, shout out my boy Milton. They got the dub. The Eagles. Milton Williams. Great game to y'all. Great D line. Shout out. Shout out Black Ops 6. Kyler Murray MVP run might end when that comes. That drops. Um, Shout out Derek Carr throwing a pick. God damn it, it had to happen at some point. Yeah, that's
Shout
it,
out.
man. That's it for me.
Hey, shout out Days Not Over podcast.
Shout out Days Not Over. How can I ever forget? Shout out Aaron gonna whoop my ass or try to whoop my ass for not even mentioning it. He gonna be like, "We need a box, man. We need a box online for that because you didn't wanna shout us out." Yeah, shout out to Days Not Over. We gonna get a schedule for y'all. Uh, I know we got 1,000 views on this shit or the defensive video. Man, y'all can go ahead and slide on over to Days Not Over. Go throw some views over there too, cause I don't want my other co-host Aaron. I don't want him having a stroke or nothing, sitting here staring at the screen. Well, how in the world can we get more than 100 views? I don't want him to trip out.
Talk
So
ball. That's how you
talk
get the
ball.
views.
Hey, if y'all run this up and then y'all run up the other clip videos gonna come out with this, we gonna have to tag Aaron because that just proves y'all want to hear ball talk. And he gonna have to live with that. He gonna have to live the con. He can just shut the hell up while I talk about ball. Because clearly, me just talking about ball that could get you 1,000 views. So hey, appreciate y'all for the views. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate everybody that watched. Now I know it's late as hell. Uh, Appreciate y'all if you watched. Appreciate y'all for watching everything on this channel. Appreciate y'all if y'all watch Days Not Over too. Formerly known as the AC Podcast. I think I still need to say that. I think that's still new of a change to say that.
And
But
hey, go slide over to their latest video. Go into the comments section and say, when's this boxing match happening? Because we got to get going. Aaron versus
brothers, I'm
Calvin.
not
This
I'm
is
not
going to be the
boxing. I see y'all
super
play him in
heavyweight
basketball
matchup of
though.
this year. This will be the
Super.
super heavyweight.
Hey, bro, I'm like 100 pounds heavier than him, bro. That's not even right. That's not even right. That don't even make sense. Uh, I got a guy he can box though. I ain't gonna say the name, but he know. I got a guy he can box. I got two guys he can box actually
Yeah, I
that I
know a
think
guy
would
he
go.
can box.
Yeah, you know him too. So, uh, yeah, though. But hey, man, thanks for having me here again. Uh, it looks like I'm gonna be here for a while until y'all stop fucking with me or until y'all say in the comments, man, we don't want him. He talks too damn much. Stop having him on. Um, I did get a text from somebody watching. They was like, and I think somewhere in the middle, they were like, "You don't sound too enthusiastic. Like you sound dead." Yo, I had goddamn practice today for hours. Okay, and we've been talking ball for a while. So if I sounded slightly exhausted, I did pick it up. I think I picked it up. But shout out to y'all watching though. I'm fucking yapping again, Dave. God damn it, man. You gotta shut me the hell up, bro. Let me get out of here.
Man, but we're taking it out. Shout out if anyone actually makes it to this point. Shout out to you. We will see you next Monday. Well, we will finally be live during Monday Night Football. Live reactions to that game, live updates while we recap all the rest of the week. We'll see you there, and hopefully we'll actually see Preston for once.